Okay, and everything's working like it's supposed to? Okay, so it is Wednesday, May 14th at 6 o'clock. And we are calling to order the town council work meeting. Becky, and our entire topic tonight is just budget, prepping the budget for next fiscal year. So Becky, you said you wanted to start off by saying something.
Yes. So, on the second page after the income,
Hold on, wait. Did, have you given,
She brought me papers.
okay.
Crystal took care of me.
Okay, hold on, what did I do with the papers you gave me? See right here. Just paper. I didn't see it behind my monitor.
and I didn't see it or I didn't touch it.
Okay,
So, sometimes I like to look at numbers, without like loan proceeds and, because I want to
grants
just
and
see.
things like that.
Yes, so, if I look at just raw revenue without the loan proceeds or grants, and I know grants is gonna come up also. And so we're really only budgeting for an increase of 64,000 in income. But you were saying that we probably think this is pretty low because we have 2 or 3 new businesses, because we've got that business, you know, the little mini
The RIV.
and KOA and 2 gas stations.
Right, the RIV has opened, correct? They're in operation and taking reservations, so
Yes,
they've
very
opened like a couple weeks ago, I mean, very, very
Is that the
recently.
tiny homes?
Yes,
Okay.
they just opened. Stu Ferber called me yesterday and said KOA Campground will open next week. And the gas station, he got his CO and his business license yesterday, so he should be opening any day.
Okay, so I'm just trying to say that this is not a very good increase. We are expecting quite a bit more.
Correct.
So if you go to the 3rd page, I've done the same thing for expenses. So that if you take out any capital outlay and you take out, capital outlay, I guess that's it. You end up, so we're only increasing our expenses by 159. So. And that is payroll.
That is increasing
Yes.
that's what the increase is
Yes,
payroll?
so
Okay.
if you look at the payroll sheet that I gave you. So
This is the total.
what that is it includes raises that have been given this year. It includes, Shiloh went from part-time to full-time.
Mhm.
It also includes that Matt, when we budgeted was, he started this year. So I kind of done the math on this, but 167,000 is just in increases.
Okay, because I wondered, because so many people started during the year, they didn't work they haven't worked a full year yet.
Right,
And so this is actually the 40 hours a week, no overtime included in this calculation.
but what's currently on our budget this year for payroll is 454,000.
So this is 167, is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't see the town manager on.
We
And-
haven't budgeted for him yet, because we
Okay.
don't know what salary we're gonna be getting.
So, yes, what Jean said is probably the person will not be starting till fall. And we'll do just an adjustment to the budget.
Okay.
We'll do a budget amendment in like September.
Okay,
I can't see a town manager being ready to start till like maybe September,
So is the.
because we have to hire, and then he has to turn in a notice wherever he is.
right.
It's gonna take time.
It's gonna take time.
The estimated total wage, is that the proposed pay or is that the current pay?
No, that's proposed. She just said that current,
Total wages.
the total wages here is with some raises.
with raises that have not happened yet.
Correct, they would start July first
They start July first.
in the
Which is
next
typical.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you don't have this one, I'd have to go to the different sheet to get what the current pay is.
Well, I can tell you what it is, I know offhand.
Well, I know, I've looked at it, I've looked at the sheet,
Here,
but
hold on.
I just don't know it off the top of my head, so.
Well, do you want it individually or just a lump sum?
No,
What's
I'm
the
gonna look
difference?
at each one individually.
Got it.
Here is current.
Okay, I'll look at it later, I just wanted to. So when I'm looking at this and analyzing it, that was the one question I had, was when we're talking raises, I was trying to figure out what was proposed and what's.
These are all proposed
Got
rates of
it,
pay.
so I'll look at what the current is when I,
Okay,
And it's really like the elected and appointed officials, those aren't changing.
no,
Some people are not, I only put in a raise for 4 people. Beyond what they're currently getting,
okay,
that's,
okay, and that's, performance or cost of living, or both.
oh,
so another thing that is being worked on is all of the grants. You were going to try to get a list of all of the grants and what will be our portion of the expense and we're getting as grants. So that's not in here yet, but we're getting that information.
some are in here. Some of the grants are in here. I was going through this so carefully this morning. And some are in here. The one that I think everything is here except the BMX grant. And I wrote down on the side here, the ones, what I think some of these are. So that when we go through this,
Okay,
I'll tell you which ones I think are what.
okay.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to getting that information because
I know.
it's just been really hard to track the grants that we're getting, the expenses that are going out and so.
And I had Crystal put up here when we had our budget meeting with, Candace, and she made all these handwritten notes. These are Candace's handwritten notes that got put into here. And I found where they made an error in one of the figures that they put in here that doesn't match what they wrote by hand. And so I have it noted in here somewhere. So
So
we'll go through this.
are they intending to give us an updated one that's not?
Oh, yeah, so after today, I will write them and say, or I'll just scan this with my notes and say,
Okay.
here's what you need to, update.
Okay,
And hopefully they'll be able to do it and give it to us by Tuesday's meeting for the public hearing.
perfect.
So that we have an updated one, us. Although what the public has is this. This is what we posted on the public hearing notice website, was this one, but we're gonna be making some changes today. So,
Once I get the financial statements for April and I update my spreadsheet, I will again look and see if there's any categories that don't look like they fall in line with what we're proposing.
so, what I thought we would do is I'll show you, for example, here when we met with Candace. This, if you compare this is, her handwritten notes plus, the changes. So we took, for example, the revenue for the general fund and we left 80,000 in the property tax. We decided to leave that unchanged, even though it'll probably be more, but we're leaving that. And then everything else we increased by 10% from what we had last year. And that's what she shows up here. Everything else, that 80,000 stayed the same, everything else was going up 10%. And that's what you can see here. We have the current year budget. So for example, the second line, current year is 4,000, next year's 4,400, so it went up 10%. And property tax delinquent went from 1,000 to 1,100, so we increased them all by 10%. on the general fund revenues. Then the licenses, well, those are all our tax income. And what I want to point out to you guys at this point, if you just look at year to date, the year to date column here under taxes, you'll see that the bulk of our taxes that we receive are in resort tax. That's the largest of all the taxes is the resort tax. And I'm gonna talk later about the resort tax. What we have to keep in mind with regard to development in town and housing and this and that and the other, and because we could lose our resort tax altogether if we have more houses than what the proportion can be.
We're not even close to that.
I don't think we are, but it's still something that we have to keep in mind. Any future mayor, any future finance person has got to keep in mind as the town develops that if we end up with too many residential homes versus short-term rental, overnight lodging,
We're not considered a resort, yeah.
we won't be considered resort. We lose that entire fund of revenue, just disappears. So that always has to be balanced. And so, I just thought I had Crystal give me the form that she filled out last year for 2024. So that we can even look at that and figure out what is the most housing we can allow. Without-
Do you want me to show it real quick?
Sure. Okay.
Right here, this is what you need to see. Liz.
So standard lodging units. Transit room capacity is 2169, and then, somewhere down there, they ask us about the number of homes, right?
Mhm.
And so scroll up.
Well, no, it's just right there.
They don't, okay.
It's all combined in this whole situation here.
Enter the total number of lodging multiplied by the number to the right, enter the result, add the capacities to arrive at the total transit room capacity. They take this number and, you're getting ready to do it for 2025.
Yeah.
In the next couple of weeks.
In
Okay,
June, I usually do them in June.
okay, I think do July 1st.
I usually do it sometime, usually in June is when I do it, so.
So
So
with,
you know the maximum of how that ratio has to be?
So I call around and get all of their lodging, so Wildflower, hotel, all their rooms, all the RVs, we're gonna have more this year because
the Riv.
the Riv is
Okay,
now
and
opened up,
campground,
so that's gonna
and,
count now, because they just opened, so that's going to be KOA for,
Stu Ferber's KOA.
I don't know if they'll be counted.
So the more,
He's
he's got cabins there.
Yeah, but he hasn't officially, it's not counted, their taxes hasn't counted for 2024. This is going as of the fiscal year from the previous.
I understand, but
So,
they don't say, where does it
um,
say only if they've paid taxes? I don't see that.
The. Ryan White Bison, their RV, all their RV spots that they just have opened up
Okay.
from the last
So
year.
scroll up so I can see some more. Okay, stop. They must take this and run it through the formula themselves. I thought we could see the entire formula on here. They obviously run it through a formula and count how many houses we have.
So are you saying that our house number can increase? Because we've got these new ones
Mhm.
coming, the new
Yes.
ones that have not been counted for 24 will be put in.
Yes, and that gives us.
Right.
And we were already, and I guess what we have to do is call the tax commission and get them to give us the printout, because I swear I've seen the thing that comes from them that really lays out the whole formula and has our houses, how many
I
houses, how
don't
much
think we
this.
were in danger.
Right, but
No,
that,
we're not even close, so that's.
But
that 2169 is bodies though,
No.
right?
No,
That's
That's
room?
rooms, it says
No.
total transient room
Yeah,
look,
capacity.
we'll roll
Total
back up.
transient room capacity.
So
But-
capacity means how many people to a room, no?
I guess it does.
Okay, that was my question. So we're talking about units, 427 plus 222 is the number of units, unless that formula includes capacity in a house.
No, it doesn't. This is just,
So
Transient.
standard lodging
This
is
is
three
transient
people,
lodging.
right?
I understand, no, I
Okay.
understand, but the question was about
how many houses?
how many houses?
Yes,
Right.
427 plus 222. That's not as,
And actually, well, it could be close, cause that's
it could be
only,
close.
that's only like
That's including all
almost
the,
500
all the hotel
or
rooms,
650,000.
all,
Right, no, I understand
Or
that, but
600.
those numbers, so it'd be 649.
Yeah,
Would
649.
be the number of units, how close are we to number of houses in Virgin?
I think we're around,
I
somewhere
thought you
around
said two-
300.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you
It's
said
two
270.
something, I think it's two something,
Okay.
but we're somewhere around, close,
Okay,
it's less than
that was
three,
my question.
but
But if
near
we-
three.
If we knew what that limit was, and it'd be really helpful if me or somebody could see the breakdown, like you were just listing
like
the
to see
different
that, yeah.
places.
And
And who,
I'll give you guys the breakdown. I'm gonna get ready and do my next one, next month. So
Okay,
when
I
I do it,
understand.
I'll give you the whole breakdown.
Would be nice to have a spreadsheet.
But we need to see how the tax commission compares it to what do they do
I'd like
when
to
they're
see the
comparing
formula.
it to the homes? So that we see how many more homes we can build if we have no more short-term rentals or no more
Mhm.
lodging units, how many more homes could we build? Cause we've got people that are gonna come in and wanna do a subdivision for affordable housing, and another one that wants to do affordable housing, and then we got the homes that are gonna get built in Sierra Bella. And so it's like, how many more homes
just
can
seems-
we build?
it seems like we have so many of these transient things that.
But it
seems
can,
like
it can go away
We just need
if
to
you
know how
don't,
many
if you
homes.
don't watch. And I wanna get something set up where all future mayors know, or the town manager or whoever knows, always
I
keep
think
this
we
in your
need to
mind,
talk to-
always,
but
always.
We need to talk to
The
the
thing is-
legislature about
Yeah.
changing that because. it's
Changing
defe-
what?
Changing the policy because it's defeating the purpose of affordable housing for resort communities, which need affordable housing. Resort communities are not
And
affordable.
I agree,
That's
I think
something we
this-
need to work on in the
The
future.
ones have said, they have once said, the state has said that they don't help towns that don't help themselves. So this is, I think this is part of their way of making it to where this is revenue and it's coming in.
Mhm.
And they're like, you don't wanna completely shut your town down. Because in order to build more housing and get the revenue you need for the infrastructure and all of that, we're gonna put this formula in so that you realize we can't just lock a town down. Like, for instance, Rockville's totally locked.
yeah,
down.
lockdown, yeah,
And we don't wanna completely open ours, but we have to,
right,
and I
there's
think
a
that's the
balance.
state's logic behind that.
We
The
have
way
to
I
have a
understood it when they
balance.
were talking about it at a training I went to.
Okay.
You have to help them, that's why Rockville is.
The other piece of the puzzle would be how many lots that are now available to build.
I'm not sure there's all that many lots left.
Sierra Bella is the big
Except for
chunk.
Sierra
We
Bella.
circled one day how many
Well,
subdivisions were
there's a
left.
couple here and
Remember?
there.
There's a couple
scattered
here and
throughout
there.
town.
Right, but that's probably
circled
less
that
than.
way.
But yeah, but it would be nice to
Oh,
know
yeah,
what
To
they
know,
are.
yeah.
Was it like 6? Or less, actually now.
And then too, like Hal Cannon's property over here, conceivably that could be
But you
subdivided.
scroll up over
It could be
to
Yeah.
10, yeah, it
Yeah,
could be 10.
I mean,
It could be 10
yeah,
houses.
but
standard.
that's an if, so.
Right,
He's also in the flood zone, there's other things, but,
yeah,
cause I live by him, so I am too.
Well, the main thing that's I wanna know is how many are.
So standard
Exactly,
lodging
right.
unit is also going to
Well, there's-
include,
There's 5 by my house alone, but not
bedroom.
counting house,
in a short-term rental.
so. And the 3 behind me have it, so there's a lot.
there's a,
If you
you
go
know,
mark through, we picked like, I think we picked like 6 subdivision areas that could have subdivisions. But then if you go through and look at like the small ones, like this 10-acre one by my house, the 3-acre one behind my house,
there's 4 lots in
and
my
there's some across
neighborhood,
the street
but
from my
I still
house
think
too.
that's less than 100.
So, but
Yeah.
really
Well,
the
right there it
decision
is,
making,
that there's- have subdivisions.
decision making for the future town council in the future
And planning commission.
and planning commission
Mhm.
is how do we, what kind of town do we want? Do we want residents over transient housing? And if that's the case, how do we, pay for it? Because we will lose the revenue source.
Yes, exactly.
And if
And-
this, but if, I think you need to base the decision on what type of town you want, not to keep the revenue source. You have to plan for how
Yes.
to deal with.
Yes.
the
I
revenue.
agree, but the thing is that property taxes, as we can see here, property taxes aren't separated out, but you can see here, property taxes are
Yeah. it's
about
very-
$80,000,
Yeah, it's
so
not-
that's not
That's,
gonna,
that's because we
can't-
haven't ever raised the property tax.
but I just meant you'll never go, well, that's true.
Well, and there's other sources of revenue too.
But I just
Yeah.
meant that that's a huge chunk
Yeah.
of revenue to lose if you're not careful.
But if we keep raising our property tax, people can't afford to live there.
Anyway,
It's
yes.
Part of that
Well,
affordable
and
housing.
if you
is
get
a-
more housing, you get more property taxes coming in. And if you get different types of business, you get sales tax, not so much transient tax.
But like we were just talking, there's not many opportunity for housing. I would love to say that we could live off of our property tax, but with as old as our infrastructure is and as old as everything else is, we need a revenue base.
Mhm.
And if we get rid of we need to find the happy balance,
Well, I don't
because
disagree.
it's not,
I came from a state that relied solely on property tax.
right,
So they have no sales tax and no other.
Oh, Texas is like that too. There's no, there's
So I
no property.
understand. that
They have
having-
property tax,
Having used the property tax
no income tax.
versus not having the sales tax and having a resort tax is even greater. And there's a structure in Montana that's similar, that resort
Go
communities
back
are the
to.
only ones that
the
can
other
have a
thing.
sales tax.
right.
that
in
was
certain
canceled.
areas.
Oh, interesting.
Like Yellowstone,
Right.
West Yellowstone,
Mhm.
and it's based on size, it's
Right.
not based. So it's one thing we will have to.
It's gonna have to be addressed.
I think,
through the whole
I think
area.
we need to talk to the league to say, next time in our resort caucuses,
Mhm.
to say, wait a minute, this formula is great. I mean, but we need to figure a different way because we want to increase housing,
Right.
because that creates affordable housing, and if you're discouraging it by taking away our revenue source.
Right.
Those are two conflicting policy
Absolutely right.
provisions. Which one do you want us to govern?
Right.
And I think creating livable spaces and affordable spacing
Should be priority.
should be priority. So let's base, the resort shouldn't be based on transient housing, should be based on certain other criteria.
Okay.
How do
Next
we,
a good
to a
idea.
national park,
Absolutely.
next
that.
to,
Yeah.
because
That's a good
it's
idea.
state standard, so how do we lobby for that? It's not
You have
just
to-
our town.
Oh,
it's
we have a
state
resort
standard.
caucus.
We have
We have a
resort
caucus
caucus,
with
and then
all
we
the
have to-
So
resort
we have to
communities.
get everybody to
Yeah.
lobby in on it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's changed that,
We meet 4 times a year.
so until then, we need to make
we
sure
need
that
to start the
we meet
conversation.
this.
Well, I got this letter here from Joe Ellison asking if he can do anything for us. so-
Okay, so,
There you go.
Rick Wixom arranges all the meetings for the resort caucus, because we meet at the ULC, the 2 ULCT conferences, and then we have 2 Zoom calls during the year, so we meet 4 times a year. And Rick sets it all up, and then he creates an agenda, and he asks everybody, is there anything you want to talk about in the resort caucus? So I can tell Rick to put that on the
And we
agenda.
may find out that we already have so many resort areas that we can build a lot of homes and still meet that criteria.
Yeah,
And when Crystal does her thing next
That thing,
month, that'll be very helpful.
Yeah. okay, so you can see here from, just looking, one of the things that Candace had told us at one of our meetings with her is that when we're looking at how we're doing on the budget throughout the year, that we really don't focus on the individual line by line by line by line, go down to the total for this section. And so, for example, we budgeted $678,000 in tax revenue for this year, and we've received almost 750. So we received, almost 75,000 more than we budgeted for.
Which I like, because you wanna be conservative,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, but I just mean, her point was don't go line by line, go to the totals for that section. And then for, the next section, which is permits and license and fees. We budgeted 45,200 this year, and so far we've got 41,300. And you see, the year before, we were at $194,000, but that's because there was so much building going on. And we've really, and that was all in building permits. The bulk of it was building permits and DRC meetings. And, this year, building permits has been $20,000. Huge drop. And I think there's gonna be even more of a drop, even though we're putting 25,000 for building permits, I'm betting we're not gonna have that much. Development review, DRC media, fees were $45,000, 2024, and year to date so far is 4,800. So there's been a big drop in, building, which we all knew that was that was coming. But we're, so we're built, the total we're we're budgeting for license and fees comes to 41,200 next year. And then the next section is state, this is money that we're getting from the state, so there's state grant, B&C road funds, state liquor allotment, which we've never gotten. And there's no more ARPA revenue, but we have to keep that on because they're still expecting us to do some reports. The state grant,
So with the local allotment, I know we don't get that, we don't get any from,
I don't know what that is. I don't know why we don't get any. We've got some places that sell liquor. I
that's
don't know
what I
why
was
we're not
wondering,
getting.
is it
So we'll have to find
the
out.
retail wholesale that you get it from?
It should go,
We got nothing.
we get it, but it's under a GL code. I put it under a GL code. Or
Well, how are you getting a report that we've got some state liquor allotment money?
Oh, state liquor.
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
sorry.
You're talking about permits?
I thought you meant like when someone applies for their liquor license.
No.
No, we're
No.
talking
The distribution of state liquor. license.
distribution of
I
revenue.
don't know what the law says, so why
So
you
it's
get it,
got
but
state grant, class C road allotment, state liquor allotment, ARPA revenue. And obviously the state liquor allotment's on there because at one point in time, we got an allotment at one point in the past. So if we've got George's Restaurant,
yeah, it depends on how they,
so we need to find out what that is. I'll put a note
And
here.
Bob, when he's open,
Yeah.
sells.
And the, let's see, the Auto Camp has a liquor license. We just gave one to Labrie, they're
Not
gonna
yet.
sell beer. Oh,
Not yet.
not yet, okay.
Mhm.
Who
Hotel
else?
has a liquor license.
The hotel?
Isn't there
Yeah.
other campground is? Did you already say?
Auto Camp has 4 liquor licenses.
I said Auto
Three
Camp.
liquor
Zion though,
licenses.
this one right here, doesn't it? Or original?
Zion RV Resort,
Or,
don't
don't
think
they
they
have a liquor
sell-
license? They sell beer.
I thought they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell beer.
Yeah,
So
and
we've
Auto
got
Camp has
several
3.
businesses in town that
Yeah.
have a liquor license, so we need to
Wildflower
find
does,
out.
doesn't it?
No, they don't sell anything.
So today is the 14th, and I will follow up on state liquor allotment. Why do we not get it? So the, still going back to the, these 4 things of revenue from federal or state. The state grant has 60,500. I think that's where we're going to possibly put the BMX grant. We got a grant for the BMX track for $53,000. And we have to match that out of our own funds. So what's not on here, because we met with Candace, March 31st. And did this, and then we got notified about the BMX grant a week ago. So it's not anywhere on here. The grant plus what we have to spend is not in here. Okay. I wrote down somewhere where I thought it should go.
I think
Okay.
with the liquor license, it's probably because we get it through the sales tax and
That
it's
could
lumped in
very
on
well
the
be,
sales
yeah.
tax.
Okay.
I'm thinking the same. thing.
Now, going to the next section of revenue where we have, trash, justice court, cemetery lot sales, and cemetery other revenues, we've had 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We're putting $500. What we've discovered when we were going through things and in this discussion with Candace is in the past, we charged a fee to open or close a grave. And we haven't charged that since I've been mayor.
Oh, interesting.
And so we're like, it's only maybe $500, but still,
Right.
we shouldn't, we're basically sending people over to dig a grave for free. Or we pay Alan Lee to go dig a grave, but we don't get it back to cover the cost. So that's what that is.
We're charging to open and close graves.
No, never charged.
And where's that money going? Cause it's.
It's not showing up here.
We get,
Where's it going when you,
cemetery, when I get a check, I put it on cemetery funds.
where? Is cemetery,
Other revenue or is
other
it
revenues?
cemetery lot sales is where you're putting it?
Cemetery lot, so it's the only, when I pull it up under GL code, when I can put it in, it's the only GL code I
So
can.
there's
Well,
a
there's
GL
ro-
code that's
right here says other
860
revenues.
that says, some cemetery other
Other
revenues. And it has zero.
I don't have that in my,
So we'd have to add, you'd have to add it, I guess.
It's right here. Cemetery,
well, that would be nice to know,
other revenues.
the only one that I have in my
Okay.
thing,
Okay.
but we've gotten a couple of them, some Alan Lee does for free because he knows them.
Okay, well, we
But
were
when-
asking, when we were meeting with Candace, she's like, where's the money for opening and closing of graves? And we're like, well, obviously, we're not collecting it. So I had no idea we were
Yeah,
collecting it
it's-
and putting it under lot
Then we
sales.
just need to unlock that. for
Yes.
you so you can-
Yeah, so that needs
Candace needs
to,
unlock it.
cemetery, other
Yeah,
revenues,
she's
unlock.
unlocking.
Could you do a report so you can show, like, this year there's at least two, right? Last year there was. a couple.
Carolyn Matzler knows which ones
Yeah,
have it.
but when you run this report, it'll say, instead of cemetery lot sales, it will say what you put in there
For other
so we would know a number.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm sure.
and then,
Carolyn also keeps track of which ones.
you can see this next section is just, things we don't even charge anymore, like sale of material, other revenues, Arbor Day revenues, flag donations, old church donations, old church fundraising events. I mean, nothing. Those really need to, I think all of those accounts need to go away, but. The loan proceeds are 1036,840. If you're looking at that one, Becky, that so now in our requested budget is $60,000, because that's what's left, because we already spent 1,800. We moved it around out of the loan proceeds. 1,300 went to the church, so it's already gone, and then 500 got moved into another account. So that left 60. That's the that's the loan from the Division of Water Quality for the groundwater study.
And I think that 194 that's in there is that payment we made. in it.
What 194? I don't see anything for 194.
So it's actually in the current year today, the current column.
Oh, in your form. Okay, I'm looking at this.
Oh, okay. No, that, I'm looking at that.
I'm looking at this. Loan proceeds.
I think Hinton Burdick has corrected that.
Okay.
Oh, you're
That's-
looking at you're looking at that.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
this is all of those things put in it.
Okay, you said that, yes.
Yes,
And that may have been corrected. I think that was something they were gonna do.
yes. So I just wanted you to know, because since you wanted to know about grants and loans, that $60,000 under 1036,840 is the groundwater protection study loan.
Yes,
That's what that 60,000 is.
okay.
Okay. Then, salaries and wages, you can go on to another page there, Crystal.
Two?
No, this one, salaries and, no, that,
Two.
there we go. Salaries and wages under general government, we left that blank. And, that's now been filled in with 106, I put 168 based on this, the new one. You had 164, I think, and I put 168 with my calculations of,
Can I throw a wrench into
yes,
this? It's not really a wrench, but it's a potential change that would affect salaries, wages, and contracted money.
okay,
I think Gene Garrotti should become an employee of the town. And I think that's something that the town manager would, I think, would prefer him as an employee rather than a contracted individual.
and Gene has said he didn't mind, if we turn him into an employee, he doesn't
And the
care,
time to do it's at the budget.
okay,
And so I think I would be in favor of doing that. I know April would be,
okay.
switching them over to the employee.
Okay, and I just talked to him yesterday and we didn't even come up with that. That didn't even come up in our conversation. I did tell him that once we have the new town manager, that I need him and the new town manager to figure out how how they're gonna work together, blah, blah, blah.
And I think the simple way is you make them an
With an
employee.
Okay,
That way town manager doesn't have to worry about it, and now he's an employee.
okay, and then that means his salary would get moved out of independent contract labor and into salaries, okay. I will talk to him
And
tomorrow.
then it's subject to increases every year too, so,
I would talk to
so
him.
there'll be a benefit in the future for
Okay. Then,
so it wasn't much of a wrench.
and then employee payroll, you had 20,400 under general government. That's another one that was a question mark because we didn't know what we were doing. 1044-210, books, subscriptions and membership. We put down 2,000 yet, we spent more than 2,000 already so far this year. So, and if we were to continue any more, they show at the rate we were going, we'd be very close to 3,000. So I was thinking we should just change that to
I
3,000.
mean, the books are going up in price.
Yeah.
You sure can't get the same subscription
Yeah.
for the same price.
So I thought we should move that up to 3,000. The next one that I wanted to change is 1044-239 software expense. we had put in-
Going back to
Yeah,
1044-211, you reduced the price of conference travel.
no, it went to 12.
I went to, oh, I'm
It
looking
went
at
from
the,
10 to 12.
okay, I'm looking at the wrong way, okay,
Okay.
yeah. So the
Um,
10 was the current and it's
And
12,
yeah,
got it,
12 is the.
got it, I was looking
next
at a
year. Okay.
reverse.
So software expense, we budgeted 30,000 last year. And we put in here 30,000 for next year, but the,
What, oh, that's 239, okay.
239. So the grad students at, SUU did a study of our technology for the town. And they asked me, how much money do you guys have in your budget for software? And I said 30,000. They were like, that is so not enough money. And I said, I know, I'm thinking that 50,000 is probably where we need to go. And I can tell you that the website, the company we use for the website, Civic Plus, Paul and I had a conference call with them a couple weeks ago. And,
Who?
Paul Jones,
Paul Jones,
yeah.
okay.
We had not you, Paul.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
We had a Zoom call with them
Mhm.
and they had told us a year ago that they were going to be upgrading the website and, we've had meetings throughout the year and nothing's happening. They finally called us in March of this year and said, you know what? We're not going that way. We're gonna do something completely different. So they had a meeting with us and said that, they are phasing out that level, because the level we have is the absolute lowest level that they offer. They're phasing it out. And we've got two options. standard or premium. We have to have it in place by November 1st. And, the difference in price between standard and premium was $1,300. And I was like, well, then we're going for premium. I'm not gonna go for
Right.
standard.
Right.
And, but even then, we're at $9,100. So, where we paid 36, it's now going up $5,500.
Mhm.
So, the software at 30,000 is not gonna be enough.
So
And
what are you proposing?
I'm proposing we put 50.
Okay.
And the reason I'm proposing 50 is there was something else, let me think what else it was.
We're changing some Unicode stuff.
The Municode, yes, the Municode bill will be higher. And, so I wanted to put 50 for that though. And so then if we go down to 1044,290 on the telephone for general government, where we had 2,500 this year and we put 4,000. The reason we put 4,000 for this coming fiscal year is once we move into the new town hall, there'll be more phones.
Yeah.
And the different offices, so that's what that is. Attorney expenses, we left at 150. I don't think it's gonna be near that. It's
Now
not,
that the various lawsuits.
are
may be done,
resolving, yeah.
Hopefully resolved.
I think that, we went ahead and left it like this, but I don't think it's going near that this next year.
The one thing that I was thinking about the other day, and is we need to contemplate, and we can make mid-year adjustments if we finally get a quote to do, can't do this before this budget, is to look into the possibility of seeing what land use coverage costs. So
Insurance,
insurance.
okay,
So what happens, because right now, most, we pay our own attorney to do the land use coverage. And attorney's costs are usually the most expensive. So if we took insurance coverage to cover the litigation, and it's not covered by the land
okay.
trust,
okay.
they cover other things.
So they would have they would have their own attorney, or they would end up paying our attorney?
No, what insurance companies will do is hire their own attorney
Yeah.
to represent us. So somebody in the St. George area would be appointed by that firm to represent us. As a
Okay,
town.
I'll check it out, but I would rather Heath represent us, to be honest. I don't.
Knowledge of our.
But they have,
Knowledge with.
but they have, yeah, but they would work with Heath on that. And you would also have the expertise, and you wouldn't have to pay for it,
I
number
was gonna say, are
one.
they gonna pay, but when they're conversing with Heath about a lawsuit, are we paying Heath or are they paying Heath?
Maybe both,
Probably us.
but
Because
probably
that,
both,
it
but
seems like it's.
But you're gonna save money overall on all the expenses. Number two, it eliminates potential I could see the stage where we're up at a town council in the future. And you make a decision and he said something, he goes, you can do this, but I don't recommend it.
Uh-huh.
Now you got him defending if the council goes that way, and the citizens are upset because now Heath is defending something he said he shouldn't
You
recommend.
should, yeah,
And it may not be a conflict of interest, it may be, it also creates a perception issue with our citizens. Long term, if you have somebody covering the land use ones, and we may not be able to afford the insurance, we should check into
yeah,
it
I'll check.
and see what the price is, it saves costs.
Right.
Okay,
I know we went through that in.
I didn't even know there was such. a-
Yeah, we went through that in Montana, and we finally got the insurance authority to start offering land use insurance.
Well,
But we went through similar to the land trust, and we convinced them to offer land use
It's
insurance
worth looking into, I
But-
think, I mean.
coverage.
If it, yeah, if
It may
it's.
not be, may be prohibited, and we may not be able to based on different factors. I don't know if they offer it in this area. but-
yeah, they may look at how many lawsuits we've had recently and say,
And-
well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so.
Jack,
So attorney expenses, we left at 150, but I'm sure it's not gonna be that.
No, I don't think so.
Engineering.
It should go down.
Engineering, we left at 150, and the reason we were doing this is that Candace was saying her approach to budgeting is look at what you had last year, let's just keep it what it was
Mhm.
from last year, but we'll increase revenue by 10%. And that was kind of what she
Oh, I
did.
thought you had said we were reducing engineering to 100,000. Yeah, that's
Let's
what-
see,
that's what I heard.
engineering, here, she has,
150.
it looks like 150.
It looks like it was 100 and she made
Out of
the,
5.
yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of things, Becky, there's a couple of things where she scratched something out and changed the number, and you have, in the form you did, the original number. So we'll find that. So go back and compare this with the notes, because I saw some that were different. Okay, so engineering is at 150, but I feel that we only used 56 this year, and I can't believe we're going to year to date was 56. So we're not gonna use that much in engineering, but we left it. Audit expenses, 17,000, and then we had them switch out Hinton Burdick. Now we've had this 1044,325 is brand new. It's accounting expenses, that's Hinton Burdick.
Which one? Three?
It's
10,
not on my list.
1044, 325, because you were looking at,
At the old one.
yes, and
Right.
it said over
Okay.
here.
It's on the side.
If you look at the very top, 1044,320 accounting, move Hinton
Oh,
Burdick
yes,
from
okay.
contract to
I just have
accounting,
to
budget
scroll
40,000.
Oh, 40,000.
And so that's what's in that account right now. And we have the monthly fee that we pay Hinton Burdick. We have a monthly fee of 3,000 something, I think, that we pay them every month. So we're at 36,000, just
So they charge a monthly fee no matter what,
no matter what.
how much time or how less of time.
It is them coming out, it's the reports that they do for us, them coming and writing the checks and all that. So we pay 36,000 just for Hinton Burdick to come and do what they do for us. And this extra 4 on top of that is for them coming and working on the audit and then budget meetings with us. And that's what that is.
So is contract labor gonna stay at 50 then?
And the contract labor, they wrote 50, knowing that we were, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it. I'm gonna recommend we go ahead and leave it, but the other thing they did is you see, they said Sunrise Engineering from contract labor to move it to 1044,310. They moved that, oh, maybe that's why engineering was 150. Because like Riker's charges are under contract labor right now, and they were moving anything from Sunrise into that engineering category. So, I would think we could probably, and then Gene Garatti's in here.
Yes.
And so if we
Need to
move
move
him
his-
to an employee,
Move that
and
salary.
Sunrise is
Yeah.
moved to engineering, and Hinton Burdick is moved to accounting expenses, then probably contract labor could go down to like 20 maybe. I don't know what else we would,
Contract for.
but there, you never know. There's always something.
There's always.
There's
potential
always
expense, yeah.
So we're leaving it at 50.
And we're gonna leave it at 50 and we'll decide by next meeting.
Yeah,
next
you
time
have to
if we
figure
want
out how
to-
much is
yeah.
backed out, yeah.
Now, the next thing, building inspector. When I was talking to Gene yesterday, this is 1044,360. He said that he had a discussion with Lance, the building inspector. And Lance we paid him $25 per inspection, and that is the lowest paid building inspector in the
Sounds
county.
like it.
And he said, that Lance said, I can't keep doing this for you guys at $25 per inspection. And he said, Gene, you've got to raise what you pay the building inspector. So, where our current budget was 20,000, and so far this year, we've paid less than 10, and we're gonna be getting some more bills. We were putting in 10. I don't know. I don't know what's a reasonable fee for a building inspector. So I guess another thing to research is the appropriate fee for a building inspector, what do they get than the rest of them?
We use Lance. Is there other building inspectors out there?
Yes. There are. That for example, I talked with a guy who does building inspection, he works for a company. And I've talked to him at more than once at the ULCT conferences. And, their company could do building inspections for us, but Lance comes really quick. I mean, he's there right away.
He's retired.
He's
so-
retired, so he could come up here really fast when we need him.
So
It's
this-
just that even if we were gonna go to a different building inspector, we're not gonna get him for $25.
We'll probably end up paying a lot more than what we paid.
So
last
this is
year.
based on the valuation of the, project.
Mhm,
So a permit for a projected value between $1.500
mhm.
would cost $23.50, while a project value between 501 and 2,000 would cost $23.5 for the first.
Okay, but that's talking about your building permit.
Oh, inspection fees.
So do we know Lance wants to keep doing this for us? He would just like a little bit more money?
I got that impression from
Yeah.
Jean yesterday that,
Well, it seems like if he does a good job and he's easy to work with, it would definitely be worth it to raise.
what is your feeling on it? I know periodically he says he's gonna retire and then he doesn't do it.
But
He does
but we
this-
also have to keep in mind that expense can be paid by increasing our fees that we charge.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
either way,
currently the international building code fees and stuff that we're charging are like half than what we need to increase our.
yeah, we're,
But, yeah, I think he still will continue. I don't
Okay.
think he's ready. I
okay,
think he's retired and he's just doing virgin. something to keep him
Almost
busy.
the inspection fee of 35 per inspection, maybe for the inspection of single family dwellings. So,
mhm. That's for single family dwellings, what about commercial?
well, that's, I
Okay,
just
Okay.
started it, so.
okay,
So I have no problem with increasing the amount.
okay,
And if we need to recoup it, we do it in,
Raising
raising
our,
our fees.
Yeah, and
From
I have-
Fiscal saying we need to do it anyway.
I have on the agenda for next week's town council meeting. Shyla wanted to talk to us about raising fees, and so I've got on the agenda for her to talk to us about
Good for
raising
Shyla.
fees. Okay, and that'll be one of them.
So are we
Okay,
raising building inspector now or?
I'm gonna find out what's the reasonable fee.
Okay.
It may, what, Valerie just found was $35 per inspection
inspection.
for residential, and I don't know what it should be for a commercial. So, it might be that we keep it at the 20,000 that it was last year. That's what we had as the budget last year. Maybe we put it back to 20 instead of the 10.
Does Springdale have a full-time inspector?
I believe so. We did talk about, there was a discussion at one point of using, back the first time Lance had talked to Gene Garate about retiring, Gene went to the building inspector in Springdale to see if he would be able to just add us into his, work schedule. And, then Lance changed his mind and it never went anywhere because Lance said, never mind, I'm not gonna quit. Okay,
So when Lance retires officially and then we can maybe work out a deal with Springdale to pay for, like they do with Rockville, just in.
or there's that one engineering firm, that I had talked to at the ULCT conference, and they're kind of local. And they've been out, in fact, they said that Lance was doing some inspection at the gas station and needed assistance, and he called them. And they came out and helped him with the
What
building.
if we train some of our staff to do it?
Well, there's
the
that.
Classes they can go through and
Yeah.
take the building inspector and,
Yeah,
They can do
that's
all of that.
possible,
and then they can intern under Lance.
that's possible. I'm not shutting it down, I'm just saying, yes, that's
That seems the
an
most cost
option.
effective to me. We've already got staff.
That's not far out, yeah.
Cause we've talked about it before, but it kind of was one of those things where Lance was talking about it and then. I love that he didn't retire. He's got so much experience,
Yeah.
but. That could be something that he could train someone to do. If he was willing.
I've written it down. Okay, then on the, next page, let's see, what is this? You're still on the one with all the handwritten notes.
I don't
Okay.
have the.
It's,
We don't
yeah,
have
it's
that.
on there.
It is?
It is.
For us, sometimes
I put it on
find
there
either.
yesterday.
No.
It's called the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Are you under budget or are you under work meeting?
I'm just
I'm
looking
under
at
work meeting.
what Becky
I'm on the
sent me.
work meeting.
That's the easiest.
Show me when you got it.
Isn't that what you said?
Third one down in the work meeting.
Yeah, but
Third
I
one
need
down.
to make sure that
Under work,
Well,
in the work
what's
meeting
it
folder,
called?
there's proposed fiscal year budget.
between.
Cause I'm like, you,
Yeah.
well, my brain's fine.
They're making
Right now.
changes.
Yeah.
Kids.
I'm listening and making notes.
There's a light.
Yeah, you're,
Right.
I'm just
Are you
getting the
sure?
gist and then the next time when it comes down, I'll have a better idea.
Okay, so then we're still on page 3, we're still under the general, administrative expenses. We have, 25,000 for insurance, 6,000 for bank charges, capital outlay,
So is it 25,000 or 2,500 for insurance?
25,000, because we've spent so far, we spent 16,802 so far this year.
Okay.
So that was 25.
About 10 would be 25.
Yeah, it's already on here, 25. Within, under 1044,745 capital outlay. No, sorry. 1044,740. Capital outlay equipment, the 25,000 is, Crystal, can you move to the next page? Oh, wait, sorry, go back. Yes, it's on here. Capital outlay equipment, she wrote down car. And so that was a potential car for code enforcement to use and, or something for town to use for running errands, et cetera, et cetera. Then, right here, what I realized in our budget, we do not have the cost, nowhere in this budget is the cost for the roof for the new town hall. So I'm wondering
Is
if,
that not part of the remodel?
no,
No,
we're paying for it separately. So I'm wondering if we wanted to take the budget, the figure we're gonna do for the town roof, the roof on the town hall, and put it under, do we wanna put it under 1044,745? Which is, that's where we paid for the new town hall, because you can see in the current year, we paid 1,300,000, that was to buy the building, and now we've got nothing in that
But
1044,745, so it's like, should we put it there?
it's a general expense, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's coming out of our general fund,
So.
so
and Town
I'm,
hall is usually general expense,
so I'm thinking the roof should go under
because
1044,745.
it's 0 now.
It's 0 now, and we need to, I realize that the roof is not anywhere in the budget.
Right.
How much is it?
We authorized 160 at a meeting, but so far the bids, the estimate is 120.
Yeah.
But we just talked about a roof color that's an add-on, an additional price, so they're gonna call us,
we need to plan for contingencies.
yes, so I think we should put 160,
I agree.
okay. Okay,
She was telling me about it at that thing and I was like, ooh, and then I started.
Yeah, no, it was gonna be a big,
Oh,
beautiful
I
change.
need to come with,
a big beautiful what?
Change.
yes, to the church.
Okay.
To the-
New
Town
town
hall.
hall. Now, the reason for the, also, look at this last one here, so the remodel town hall, we have 500,000 in there, because we haven't spent any of that yet. And then the next one, capital outlay groundwater, we put 0, even though the total money for the groundwater protection study is $120,000. We were supposed to pay 20. Water Conservancy District is supposed to pay 40. And then we got that grant, it's back here under state grant of $60,000. here for loan proceeds, that 60,000 is the loan. And so we've spent, even though we're only supposed to spend 20, we spent 29,405. So
And it's
we,
projecting 35. for
yeah,
the
but
end of the
we're
year.
probably, we shouldn't be getting any more bills.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't received any bills in a while, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming that Sunrise is billing, Water Conservancy District right now. And then once he gets ready for the loan proceeds, then we have to, once we start accessing that, then we have to get the money from, the state to start paying those bills. Okay, so, that's why capital outlay, we have 0 right now, and I'm gonna leave it like that for now. The BMX expenses, that is a code, a GL code that's been supposed to be gone for probably 2 years now. But what I don't know is, when we get ready to do the BMX, since we got that grant, and we're gonna start paying money, I really don't think it goes here. I think it's gonna go under park
Goes
expenses.
under, should go under park.
Parks, okay, so it will not be here, so we'll leave this 0. And in fact, if you see up here, they've got inactive account, yet they're still on this list, and I was
Right.
like, they're supposed to, get rid of that account number, but they didn't, and it still shows up. So. Then, so we're still on page 3, salaries and wages, B and C road funds. It's what's off this sheet that, this payroll
Okay,
sheet.
so what number are you on? 10,
61, 110.
1061.
110, okay.
Ten
got it.
61, 110, I put 87,600 with, the new figures. Increased it. Why is it not there?
86, 150?
Oh, it's because we moved somebody out. Okay, well, I'm just leaving my numbers there for now. It's not that different. It's
So, yeah.
only, it's only like $1,000 different, so. Then. The figures where we've got 0. I wasn't sure if we should put something here. We're at 10, so 1061, 250. Equipment, maintenance, roads, we put nothing. We spent nothing
250?
this year.
Oh,
It was,
You have 30 on yours.
there's something that probably should have been charged there.
we had 30 last year.
Well,
We had 30 last year, so we put it at 0 because this year we spent 0. But I'm wondering if some of the maintenance work that we did, that we
Was
charged to
deferred.
water, really should have gotten charged to
Or it was
roads. or something.
deferred.
So should we put that? So I put that we need to do something here. So should we put it 30?
Equipment maintenance, wait a minute, what is equipment maintenance though?
That is maintaining the equipment, like the backhoe and,
I don't know if you need 30, but you may need
Well, if you
something.
lose a hydraulic.
we need
pump
something.
or a line,
Yes, there could
they're
be
not
some-
cheap to fix on those
Mm-mm.
pieces of equipment.
Yeah, so
but
we need,
30 seems high when
Well-
you, it's lot, yeah, it's a contingency, I realize that.
Yeah, and
But
that's what we
I-
had in last year, so.
And the parts are expensive on those.
I was thinking
machines.
it'd get more expensive now.
but I know we paid, to upgrade the, to do some repairs on the backhoe. And I think that got put under equipment maintenance, water instead, and it probably should have been divided between equipment maintenance, water and roads. So I suspect that this 30,000, even though it shows that we didn't spend anything last year, I think there's something probably that got assigned to roads that, water that should have gone to roads. And then that would show that we had spent some.
So if we have an expense to maintain the equipment, moving forward, would that be split between roads and
It
Water?
depends, it depends on the
Depends on
piece
what
of,
the
what the
equipment-
equipment is.
Okay.
So there's, it says we've only spent, if I look in the water under the equipment supplies or equipment repair. It shows that we've only, it's 16,000 projected.
What number are you on?
She's way back
Oh, I
on,
skipped ahead.
she
because we were
skipped way
talking-
ahead.
I didn't skip ahead. I went to the one you just mentioned might be in there. Cause you were talking about the equipment, so I went
Yes.
to the water.
And looked at
I looked
equipment,
at it, and it shows that, just look at it, it's like,
equipment maintenance is 10, 40, 250. I mean, 50, 40, 250.
so it's not, there's not that much is what I'm saying that was taken, cause it's got,
So what do we want to put? 20, 15?
I was gonna say split 15 and 15, okay.
yeah,
Okay, so, all right. So 15,000. And then the next one that needs something, maintenance, this is 1061,270. Now, this is where we budgeted for the capital improvements that were done.
Mhm.
And we put in $192,000, we spent 158. And there's still some more that we're gonna be paying out before June 30th, like the crack ceiling that's being done in Desert Gardens, that's gonna be a chunk of change. And that's gonna go right there. So we're gonna be close to spending the whole 192,000 that we put in the budget by the time June 30th rolls around.
So are we keeping it the same for this year?
Well, that's where we have our 5-year capital
We have to go
improvement
through
plan.
that
and
by
we have-
that
yes.
prioritize it.
are we gonna prioritize the old public town at all?
So we still don't know what that is.
Well, have you
Old
looked at
parts
the
of
5-year,
town.
have you looked at the 5-year
No,
plan
it
yet?
just seems like the new parts are getting, and we're just getting worse in the older parts.
Okay, well, wait till we
You'll
get
look
to, wait till we get to the
It's
capital
improvement.
improvements plan.
at- Their potholes are, they like.
Wait till we
flat
get to the
flats.
capital improvements plan.
You can have flat flats in them.
Okay. Right now, what we put in that Rod gave me yesterday to put in, we're at $1 million for what he wants to spend on capital improvements that we can't afford that
All in 1 year.
all in 1 year.
And that's why we need
Yeah.
to
We're
decide on
prioritizing. We're
5
gonna look
years,
at that.
yeah.
Yeah. So this 1061,270 is gonna need a figure. We don't know what it's gonna be, but I've got that needs something. And then,
Depends on the capital improvement plan.
1061,350, which says contract labor, streets and roads. Even though that is all zeroed out, I know that $192,000 that we spent on, that we're about to spend on this year on streets and roads included the labor.
Cause isn't the contract labor with the crack chip sealing and all of that should have been split out different, right?
That's
Because
what
we're
I'm
hiring
thinking,
it from
is that
somewhere
some
else.
of that should have gone under
They should have
contract
been
labor.
split out.
So I have here that we need to put a figure in for contract labor and for maintenance for
And then-
streets and roads.
Less whatever we take out of.
Because when we met with Candace, we said we weren't using that. So now we are.
Well, there's a difference between paying for a project and contract labor. Yeah, one is a contract to get a project done. The second is to hire contract labor to
Okay.
help do work that town staff can
okay.
do.
Kenny, when he fixed the.
Right.
road.
Well, yeah, for
Right.
example, Kenny,
When
yes.
he
Yeah,
fixed
so
the
you
road.
need something in there for when we need something done by our staff and they don't have the wherewithal to do it, they need to be able to go to contract labor.
And we also had
That's a
Derek Spindler do
contingency.
some work for us too. So,
And
We-
they're all lumped into that maintenance instead.
I
of-
think they got lumped
So we need
into
to-
maintenance. Well, some of it is because they were doing a project,
Right. We just
but
need to
they
look
have other
at-
things they
So we
do.
need to look at what those numbers we paid out and get an estimate that way.
So I have here that these two, maintenance, streets and roads, and contract labor, streets and roads, needs a figure.
Right.
Okay. Then
Yeah,
this next one, 1061,760, that says capital outlay grant.
or
Um,
10, on 61, what?
760.
50, got
The very last
Yeah,
one,
got it.
capital outlay grant.
Mhm.
That is, what is remaining, that 25,000 is what is remaining to be paid on the grant that we got from, UDOT. We got a $60,000 grant from UDOT and we paid out, this 25,000 is what's left to be paid on that. That's what that is. So I don't know what we wanna do when we go through the capital improvements plan and kind of prioritize, we can come back and look at streets and roads and put in a number. And then, the next thing, Parks and Rec, same thing, maintenance and supplies, let's see, here we go. We have $8,000 for equipment maintenance.
Where are
auto
you now?
repair. Parks and Rec. 1064 is all Parks and Rec. So we got salaries, employee payroll, salaries, I put 87.6, just like I did for B and C roads. Conference travel, we put 2,000,
Okay, what number are you on?
1064. You at 1064.
I just went down too far, sorry.
Yeah, 1064 is all parks.
So you basically carried the numbers over,
Um,
except for salary and.
yeah, salaries and payroll, is because that's coming off of this sheet that, Becky did.
And the capital outlay equipment, we don't know.
Well, we
That's
put 10,000. Oh,
Okay,
we put 10,000. We had 48,000 last year, and that was to buy the truck for, the parks, and we ended up getting that for less. And then, but we're not gonna be needing a truck next year for parks, so we just put
What?
10,000.
why, what, yeah,
Although,
is there any equipment that, I mean,
Yes.
that's gotta come out of the capital improvements
plan,
plan.
and there's
so-
some park stuff, but I think they can be paid by impact fees.
Yeah,
So if they're paid by impact fees, I'm not sure that we put them here.
well, and it depends if that is the equipment, and we don't have any equipment related to the parks, or do we?
Yeah, we've got lawnmowers and things like
Okay.
that. Yeah, we've got a
And
couple of
riding
different lawnmowers, riding lawnmowers and,
Okay,
The
leaf
guys were saying
blowers.
actually need to get a new lawn.
And there's pumps.
Do we
for the
need to get a new
irrigation
lawnmower?
water.
Yeah, they were just talking about,
also minor, yeah,
they
minor
were
stuff.
just,
Yeah,
Got it.
little things.
push mower was really bad and they need to get a new lawnmower. They were just talking.
Yeah, I don't consider, that's the terminology, but I don't, capital outlay
okay.
to me is like above our capital
So
outlay.
Parks and Rec, I
Big things and
told them to get
operating
me,
expenses,
they were supposed
that's
to get
what that
me
should be.
budget figures a month ago.
The terminology
ago
just
for what
doesn't,
they
isn't
need.
very good.
We can change it.
They're just gonna pop it off.
I think it should
Price
be
a
operating
new
expenses
mower.
versus capital.
Yeah.
Okay,
equipment.
got that. Okay. So let me put on here, what?
The capital outlay, 741, I think we need to start making a distinction between capital outlay equipment, which is above our, I think it's $5,000 in our capital improvements plan for equipment, and operating expenses for parts,
Yes.
for repair of equipment and so on, so.
Well, we have equipment maintenance, we have auto repair, auto expense, maintenance and supplies.
Okay, so what you're saying is small items would fall under,
They
Auto
should fall
repair
under
and
the
maintenance,
equipment
okay.
maintenance, the things that we're talking about.
Like what?
Well,
equipment.
like, the bigger things, like, I think that means lawnmowers, because lawnmowers are not cheap. And things like that, but yes, the equipment maintenance for like a full start on the lawnmower or things like that are gonna be under the.
Well,
equipment
if it's over $5,000, then they should be every year submitting.
Should go under capital
Should be
outlay.
submitting a request to the capital improvements committee.
Right.
Saying we need a new riding lawnmower next year.
And that'll be about $10,000.
Yeah, but they haven't done it. so
No,
it's
but
not a-
No, but I've got it written down right here, but I'm gonna talk to them.
I don't think they need a riding one, I think they need a new push one and
Because the
stuff.
writing one works.
The writing.
Yeah, the riding one works, I think it's the push one that they're needing and stuff, they're needing
Okay.
smaller one.
Okay, and I've asked them, I've got a note here to get parks, to Public Works to, price a mower.
Well, so then it would come back to the same question. If it's under $5,000, should it go under equipment maintenance or equipment capital outlay?
Then we need to increase that number.
I think that 10,000 probably needs to be increased. Is that
Well,
what you're
the
talking about? Or are you talking about the
8,000 on-
8,000?
On
He's-
equipment maintenance,
He's
that's,
saying it should be under 250, this 1064, 250.
Should be what,
It should
10,000?
go up to at least 10,000 because that's where he's saying that the smaller expenses.
That are less than
Like the new
$5,000.
yeah,
Like
if it's under, If
Some
it's
fund
under,
we had
under
to
that,
get
it
one,
becomes an
whatever.
operating expense for
That's
just
what
equipment
he's
maintenance
talking
under parks,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
And the capital outlay are the ones over our $5,000
okay,
figure.
That makes
I think-
sense.
Yeah,
okay.
That
All
makes
right.
sense.
Yeah.
It just takes talking it through. Well done.
oh, yeah, I know.
Well done.
But it just all of a sudden looking at it going, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so the next page is page 4. This is where, let's see, we've got employee payroll, cemetery, we don't put anything there. Equipment and supplies for the cemetery, we've budgeted 6,000. You go down to this next category, which are town events, fair expense, and capital outlay town hall. We put $12,000 in last year because we got new stoves and microwaves in here. We put 12,000 because we were continuing what we did before, but I can't see what we're gonna be doing in there.
Is this still gonna be used as an event area?
I see it still being used. I mean, there's people, you know, how Lori Bachman comes in and does her canning classes, and there's other people that are
Yeah.
called and wanted to use the kitchen for various things.
Like, would we
But-
replace the floor ever, or?
Well, that is,
I know if there's tape on the floor, but it's just an idea.
this said capital outlay. We should change that to say Heritage Town Square. That should
Right.
say Town Hall. That should say Heritage Town Square.
I think these are still the original floors.
Well,
they
I
are.
think they
This
just-
is-
I think they need
Because the
repaired.
first one
Just
says
repaired,
Town
not
Square.
replaced.
Not replaced, just
Yeah, just
repaired.
repaired.
So
But
that,
like, that's what you're talking about though, right? And that capital outlay.
For the town
For
square.
the town
yeah.
square is if we had to replace the floor.
so does
If
this
we had to-
whole,
So then
section
it goes
here
back to
refer
my
town
original.
square?
question
Not
on the previous one.
necessarily, because
Well,
you
it
see,
might
we
be
have
for the
15,000 for town events,
Yeah,
and those
Then
could be.
then
a
it should be
park.
run through the
And then
capital
the fair
improvement committee.
expense to do.
I'm
something
just
like
wondering
that.
about the
So it should be budgeted
Yeah,
zero
that's right.
That's
and
the-
run
so
through the
that's what we
capital.
changed.
Yeah, that's not
improvement
town hall.
committee.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
then
made a
do
note
an
here that has to
adjustment.
be square.
And then, yeah, and then if it's mid-year, then you do an adjustment, but right now you put it at zero.
Do we have maintenance on the old town hall, the place that the maintenance is?
If it's maintenance, then we need to add it to the
If
maintenance.
it's maintenance on the town hall over
This
here,
one.
this building, that
That's-
might be under parks. Cause it's a park. This is under parks.
So then we need to increase the parks maintenance, because if that includes like replacing part of the floor or doing something like that, it's gonna, and they might cost over $1,000, but we have it over here in the capital outlay.
So we
Like
have
you said, there's nothing predicted to be added to this.
right. So under capital outlay for parks and rec, we have capital outlay equipment. We can just delete the word equipment and just say capital outlay parks.
It should be zero. We don't have any capital outlay for parks.
That's the one that.
We
we're
just
talking
talked
we had to
about
buy it.
capital outlay for the
lawnmower or-
lawnmower.
Anything under $5,000 should be under equipment maintenance, 250. So when you increase that amount, if it's.
We did that, but we also put.
So if you want a riding lawnmower, that's 20,000, it should be run through the capital
I
improvement
don't
committee.
care. We still need to put it in the budget.
It's budgeted zero because it hasn't been approved by the capital improvement committee.
All right. Well,
I
I'm
mean,
saying if
to-
we've got town,
Storing money that you need to know what your budget's gonna be. And then if you need to increase it mid-year, you can increase it mid-year. But nobody has said we need a riding lawnmower.
no, but we just sat here and discussed capital outlay equipment for the parks and that we're leaving it at 10. Equipment maintenance is
No, I
being moved
thought,
up to 10.
my understanding was we were gonna move that 10 to add that 10 to the 250.
Right,
Equipment,
equipment.
maintenance and parks,
And zero,
and zero the capital outlay, yes.
okay,
Is that what we're doing?
So 250
guess so.
becomes 18,000.
Right,
oh, I put
Capital
10.
outlay
Okay.
becomes zero.
zero.
Okay, so this becomes 18.
That way, if we have a big expense item, everybody knows what it is, it's gone
Correct.
through a process. Nothing precludes us from doing it mid-year
Right.
at any point in the future.
Okay,
I
So-
just don't like budgeting for something I don't know for
Right.
sure. what's gonna happen.
So it sounds like what Misty is talking about is something that would go through capital improvements and would go.
Right.
Okay, all right. So this next section, we've got the loan payment, town square principal, town square interest. I initially had planned to ask if we could just take some money out of the general fund PTIF account and pay off this loan and be done with it. It's maybe $200,000. I don't know exactly. I'd have to find, it's in our financial audit statements from the financial statements. It showed what was the payoff on this loan, and I'd have to go look at it. But up until this point in time, we were getting $10,000 every year from the Workman family to make the payment for the town square. And the man who was in charge of that either got really, really sick or he died, whatever. The children said, we're not paying you guys that money anymore. So now
Or is it change?
it's a change. So now we are gonna have to make that payment. And, I looked at what was left, and when they, look at the rating for the town with the different outstanding debts, and that's listed there, I was like, we can pay that off.
What's the interest rate?
Oh, super low. I'd have to go back and find the paperwork for the grant, for the loan. But, and yes, I agree, the interest rate is probably very low, but as, it's a CIB grant, and if we pay it off, then that also gives the CIB their money back that they can then loan to some other town. So
Well,
there's
yeah,
that.
it's not to help other towns out, but I want to take advantage of what's financially benefit our
Okay.
town.
So
And
I'm
if it
just,
makes sense to do it, yes, but financially, if it doesn't, then.
so I'm just throwing this out there.
It's
I'm not-
something to look at, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not putting it in the budget. I was just saying I want us to look at it.
Yeah, I think we should look at it.
Okay, the next two lines are brand new. And you can see right down here on this with the notes that, they created these two accounts, 1080-130 and 1080-140. The loan payment principal,
Okay,
the loan payment
before we
interest.
go to there, let's go back to 1067,805.
Capital outlay for the town square.
Yeah. Should
And I
that be
yeah.
zero now?
Do you want it to be zero?
Well, don't you wanna put a maintenance one? Is there somewhere to, you would
We
add
would
that
have to
12,000
add a
to the
new number.
maintenance.
We'll
Well,
have
you
to
could add
add-
it to the park maintenance. The
But
reason I
the part
say,
is 18,000 enough to cover what?
well, that's what I'm saying, if we're saying that that was supposed to be the maintenance and the recovery here, or are we zeroing it out because we don't expect anything to happen?
So what's the capital outlay for town square electric?
There's nothing expected
We've
here.
got nothing planned.
Okay, then I think it should be zero. Is there some maintenance?
No, this is where she was talking about the floor. Misty was concerned about the floor.
No, all I'm asking is the amount that's up in, yes, it has to do with the floor. Is the amount up here, because we just said, oh, that would be parks, is that enough in the parks maintenance that we have up here to cover it? Or do we need to increase that when we zero out the capital expense is what I'm asking, or does that just go away?
So the point is,
I see.
this is a park. This is part of our parks. We've got
Right.
Town Park and we've got Heritage
I-
Town Square. Heritage Town Square is part of the park system.
It
And
would
so
be, it would be part of the capital outlay for parks.
that's what we were just talking about.
Right,
And so
but-
should we get this gone?
That
This
should,
should just be
there
gone.
shouldn't be
Well,
a
but I'm
specific
asking-
one for Old Church.
If we didn't include the maintenance on this in the parks, or did we include that
No,
when our
we did
thought
not.
process went through?
We did
That's what
not.
I'm saying, do we need some of that $12,000? Not all of it, because that's a huge amount, we don't need it. To go into the maintenance, in the park maintenance,
So, yeah, so.
into 1064,
Okay, so do you wanna move it up
270
to
or
20,000 or
250?
what?
Well, we have it at 18,
We've got it
Yeah,
at
move it to
18,000.
20, because then
We
it
make it
gives us
20.
a little
yeah.
bit of wiggle room for
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
Because then you could take that budget and go, all right, we can break that one even further down. When the Parks Department goes over it and really breaks it down, what they have to spend.
yes.
Okay, loan principal and loan interest.
Before we go there,
Okay.
I'm going back to utilities, town square. Meanwhile, if under Parks and Rec, we have Utilities, park pavilion slash light.
Is there a reason that we're separating,
Just maybe.
when we did it, is there a reason that we did this as its own utility and not
I think
combined
it's
with the park?
because, remember that we got that grant from CIB to renovate this whole building, this
Right.
whole thing. And they built the kitchen and the this and the that. I think some of these things got set up. All related to the renovation of this building, and it's just, that's where we're charging the electricity for this.
Right, we could take that 1067 300 and combine it into the park limit.
Well, yeah, well, we could come up with a different number under the park.
1064 285, just stick the money.
No, I would come up with 1064 286 and say utilities, Heritage Town Square.
Is there a reason though we need the pavilion light to be a different?
Well, I can say that the electricity, when we get the bill from Rocky Mountain Power and it's broken down for all the different places, like we went and looked at why, for goodness sakes, that our electric bill showed that the bill for the electricity that was being generated at the town park had been $35, $35, then it went $500. And we're like, what on earth? And then it was $700. Everybody, it was $35 month after month after month. And when I said to, Public Works, I'm like, get over there and find out what's going on. They said, oh, I can tell you right now what's going on. Dan had turned on a heater inside the little room with the rolling door. And it turned a heater to keep it on, and it had been running nonstop for 3 or 4 months.
Oh, no.
And that's what that electric bill, they went, and I'm like, get over there and unplug that
I
darn
think
thing.
what Misty is saying, and
Okay,
if I'm correct, if you use 1064-285 and just call it utilities, eliminate park pavilion light, just call it utilities and move,
Town square.
town
yes,
square
utilities
utilities
over there.
and just all utilities
Mhm.
for
Because
that.
we keep saying how confusing our budget was.
Our budgets are very confusing.
And then it just covers all utilities,
Yep.
and then if we need to break it down, we'll look at the actual.
We look at the
invoice.
bill, 'cause
Yeah.
that can be done on
I'm just
another.
wondering
and
if that
another-
whole section shouldn't just be moved into parks.
Well, town events, I can tell you, well, no, town
Those are nice
events,
to have separate, just because you wanna track,
Well, I'm
like,
talking about a separate
10 under
line,
1064.
but putting it all
Yeah.
under parks, not a separate section for
Oh,
town
but
square,
the advertising you would want, so why is advertising,
for town square.
that's for the town hall?
Well,
No.
it's not.
I
that's
know
a
it says
mistake.
town hall. It
Oh, yeah,
sounds
we
weird.
can
I
have
don't
to do
advertise.
advertising for that one, or no?
This is
It's
all town
advertising.
square.
It is.
Yeah.
This is all for town square.
It shouldn't
This-
say
so you're
hall.
right.
It shouldn't say the
That
word town hall
section,
at all.
You're right, now it makes sense.
It should
All
go,
that
all
should
go
go
in
in there.
parks.
What about
Yeah.
fair expense, though? That's different.
That, to me, I'm looking
Put
at,
that combined with events, because you're doing it for.
but the fair, we always had,
expense.
remember we had
The
we
seat
used,
display and.
we had the
right?
seed display, and we always had there was a float, cause the princess,
Princesses.
yeah.
If we even, do we even still?
Well, I wanna keep the $2,000 for the fair expense. I know what I wanna do next year for the town. We did a exhibit last year. We did not do one this year. I had one I wanted to do this year, but I didn't have time to get to it. But if we have town manager next year, I'll have time to do it.
So let's,
If you need a gorilla, let me know.
Okay.
let's do like Valerie's saying, let's just take, we already talked about combining utility, let's take town event and make it your 1064 86, I mean. No, 386, 286.
1064.
What are you talking about?
286.
So right now,
286. And make that fair expense or town
67.
event,
Town event, 620.
No, make that the
it's
town,
utilities for the town
events.
square.
town events.
so that's considered parks.
So
Okay.
all we
Because it's all
really
making
need to
sense.
do is change 1067 300 to 1064.
Yes, that's what she said.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
1064 286.
It needs to go combined, we just need to
Right.
stop having that utilities for town square, and it just needs to go into utilities park. Instead of saying pavilion light, it just needs to say utility
Just makes it a
parks.
utilities parks, yeah.
And then they're all in one, and if ever somebody was wondering which one of them was causing the most problem, we just have to do a spreadsheet
Yeah.
and break it down.
So then that leaves, so if we were transferring utilities, town square to be utilities parks. The town event, we're going to make 1064, 286, then. Advertise, that still leaves the thing about advertising and fair expense. And I think we should keep, because we do get calls from the county asking if we're gonna do an exhibit at the fair or at the Peach Days. And it's really Peach Days. Yeah.
Isn't there somewhere?
And, but the advertising, that is where, we didn't put anything in there last year, but this was for, here, for, Stacy to advertise
Marketing.
to marketing.
Yeah.
But was that included in her contract? Cause I know one of the contracts, I can't remember which one it was, it had that they advertised on their own.
Oh, okay, that might be why
We'd
it's
have to
never,
write in
Zero, yeah.
Cause that was included in their wage. It was part of their contract.
well, we need to redo their contract.
Right.
Their contract needs
so-
to be revised.
Then I guess we leave bills alone. And then we're getting rid of the capital outlay one too, cause
Yes.
we're putting it at zero.
So
So
maybe
that leaves-
fair expense just is the only one in that category.
But we haven't done anything yet with that advertising. The advertising and the fair expense will still be there until we
Okay.
get it.
Yeah, those two should be.
And then we'll figure out where they should
Cause
go.
this also,
Right.
this capital outlay would be a capital outlay parks. But we don't have to change anything there, we're just zeroing that one out.
Yeah, we're just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So all those 1067s are gonna go away eventually.
Yeah,
Okay. So now down to the loan and principal. So 1080, 130. That,
And what is that gonna be? What's it
oh,
called?
you're on your thing. It says 91 South Mill Street. That's the new town hall.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get a copy of that.
And so we put 0 for, but this payment that we made this year, that we paid 171,544, that is gonna be our annual payment. So we need to budget.
Did we ever get the breakdown? or
No,
did
I
we
haven't
just-
got the breakdown. I haven't even talked to the bank yet to get the breakdown. But, so I just put, the two together need to be 171,544 for 1080, 130 and 1080, 140. The total for those two need to be 171,544.
So you'll do that when you get the split.
Yes.
So the 205 is going away also.
Where's 205?
Where are you? Loan principal. Current year to date.
Oh, that is, it is, they were,
Projected.
that's
actually.
projected, forget that.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's,
Yeah, that's pretty, that's. So the loan interest and everything is coming from the bank, you said? Your
State Bank, that's our loan from State Bank. We're paying off the $1.3 million that we bought the car,
Yeah.
bought the church, and our annual payment is 171,544.
And then split in two places.
And it just needs to be broken down between
Mhm.
principal and
Okay, that
interest,
makes sense.
And it's 171 what?
544.
544.
Okay.
Okay, then I got to page 5. Capital projects, roads. They were supposed to, let's see, Crystal, where are we?
You're on page 5?
Okay, so,
I'm on the right one.
yeah, you are on the right one. So she was supposed to deactivate the account, furniture and fixtures and conference travel training under capital projects roads, because those were already under the expenses for roads. And, why this capital improvement, well, they did get rid of this, capital improvements police. That is 46,45,60. It's like, that needs to go away. But under capital projects roads, I have that we need to put a figure in for 46,40,060, which is architect, engineer, design. 46,43,50, which is contract labor. And then 46,47,40 capital outlay. Again, I think something needs to be put in there, since we're about to do some capital projects. But those are just things that need some figures put in, after we do the after we look at the,
Capital improvement.
yes. And then I don't have anything to add until, page 7.
Which is what number?
That's all, 50, 40, it's all the expenses in the utility fund.
We do have capital expense for the parks. Because I don't think we'll end up paying it out this year. We funded it through, for this year for the PROS plan.
Yes.
Post plan,
Uh-huh.
but that's probably not gonna be paid the next year.
And I don't show that anywhere on here in the capital, improvement parks.
There's not.
But we don't know the amount until June, because we're gonna have to see what they propose.
Right, but I'm
And
saying,
gotta
I don't even
decide.
have,
But we may have to amend that at mid-year or something.
last year I had the post plan, well, I had that we were gonna use impact fees to pay for it, and we had put $40,000.
40,000 now for impact fees, that may increase depending on what they
Okay.
come in at.
And you're saying that should be a capital outlay? See,
Yeah,
look here, we have, look at this.
it's a capital outlay, it's capital improvement.
Yeah, but look here at parks, capital projects, parks, this is page 6. 47,40,805. Capital outlay, town hall, didn't we just have that on a different page?
Yes,
And it should have said town square anyway, that
Yes.
just needs to go away.
That just needs to go away.
What are you talking about?
Housekeeping.
It's on page 6, here,
And
are you
what's
looking at
GL?
you're not looking at the right thing?
GL,
well, wouldn't that just be,
47,40,805.
wouldn't that's, oh, no, because you got 5, 6, what would be, let's say we have a big capital expense that we're paying for parks, would it be under 560 or would it be under 805?
I don't know,
I mean, it's gotta
but
fit
my
under,
deal, but my deal is,
we don't have anything now, but.
my deal is that 805 says town hall. And we just had capital outlay town hall on 2 pages back, so it's in 2 different places.
We should take that capital outlay town square out and leave it
It
alone.
says
because
town
they
hall,
already
it doesn't say
have-
town
There-
square, it says
yeah.
town hall.
Yeah. it's
Well,
still-
town hall, I was looking at the ones that says notes, but
Okay,
yeah, I would take that away because,
But, yeah,
and
and,
put it up on the parks.
okay.
and we
Move
already
to the
have
next page,
the
Kristen.
improvements for the park, so we're fine, with 560.
Capital outlay, parks,
It's in 2 places, it's redundant.
There's the CP improvements park,
Yeah,
and then there's the
but look at,
capital outlay town
but look at
square.
this, we printed out March 31st, 2025. And 805 is capital outlay, old church, and this says capital outlay, town
You
hall.
changed it to town hall up
No,
there.
it says town square,
Yeah, but
she
it,
made a typo.
Well,
It
she did
used
it,
to be
she did it
town hall.
up in the whole other category too.
but we
She
don't
kept
need
saying town
to,
hall instead of town
we
square.
don't need that category as well.
I agree, we don't
And you
need to
just put it
category at
under
all,
other one.
I understand. And park impact refunds, I guarantee that 47,600 is old. from a long time ago.
Which number is that?
4740,600.
Oh,
Park impact
oh, the one I have
refunds.
is zero here, so.
It
No,
is
she's
zero.
talking about
I'm
the
saying the
GL
whole
number.
account number is
She's
old.
talking about the account
Yeah.
number.
Oh, it's old. Oh,
It's
yeah.
old, cause I do know, in Rio.
What that would be is if we don't spend,
I know,
impact fees
I
within
know.
6 years or
when,
whatever.
Rio, when I went through all of Rio's paperwork in the box that's upstairs in the, storeroom. I found a letter from David Whitehead, who was the developer, asking for their impact fees to be refunded. Because the thing went bankrupt, they weren't gonna develop the property, and they wanted their impact fees back. And that just made me think, just now it hit me, I was like, oh my gosh,
what
I
that's there
wonder.
for.
They made a request, I wonder how many of the homes that got built over there. No, we charged impact fees when they got their building permits.
Yeah,
I
so
suddenly
the,
went, oh my God, we gave them back their money.
so the number should remain, we just have it at zero right now.
Cause it's a possibility it could
It's a
happen.
possibility in the future.
So we have capital improvement parks, we've got $200,000 in the budget. That might very well be where she put that I want to get the shade structure over the, equipment, the playground equipment. I want to get a shade structure, and we'd put $50,000 in the budget for this fiscal year, but we never did get the shade structure. Now it's gonna be way more than $50,000.
I know it should run through
So
the improvements committee.
I do have a question.
It's on here.
Okay, good.
It was
See, I
on
wasn't
here.
at the
It
meeting,
was on
and I haven't
here.
looked at
Can I
anything.
ask a question on that?
Yes,
The playground equipment, it's not in the,
we need to get new playground
So
equipment.
which, wouldn't it make
Super
more, wouldn't it make sense not to get a shade structure to get playground equipment that includes the shade?
Well, the playground equipment I've seen that has shade structures, their shade structure is some little dinky thing. I have not seen it, when I look in the Parks and Rec equipment catalog,
Yeah,
I don't see something that has all this equipment and then this big overarching structure, which is what I'm talking
so
about.
they come
Some
I know
have
what you're talking
some-
about, but it
some-
comes separately.
Some different things like slabs that they put over the top. But keep in mind, our post plan is gonna give us recommendations as to equipment and
Well, kids get over there and they complain how hot the equipment is in
Oh
the
my gosh, it
summertime.
must
They,
be
you can't,
It does burn you, it
They
does,
need
but
the shade
the
structure.
problem I was seeing is that if we're close to putting new equipment in there.
We've
that
never
shade
put
structure's
a
gonna have
single
to come
thing in the
down to
budget for
put it
new.
back.
Okay, we've never put anything in the budget for new.
what we will, after, as soon as the post plan comes in, they will give us recommendations.
I understand.
And then we're gonna be at them, so we're at least a year out.
That's what I'm
So
thinking
you're
as well.
thinking still that.
So
shade
capital
structure
improvement
would
parks,
be-
just change that to 0?
So the shade
No, 'cause it's-
structure,
So, well, let's see what, when we
in there.
prioritize your capital improvements,
Okay,
then it may go in there.
okay.
the shade structure she's talking about, have you seen the one at the Hurricane Lake Center?
Oh, I went to
That's-
school, they have one over this, our
That's what
school
I'm
just
talking
got a new stage structure.
That's what
So
I'm
I know
talking
what you're, I know what it is, but I was just checking to see if
And you're
we
making a
had
good point.
plans to get new, cause our equipment's in such bad shape.
Yes.
If we were getting new equipment, why
Well,
not get it together as one?
Crystal and
instead?
I sat and got catalogs last year, and boy, did we find some beautiful things that we wanted to get. They were so
You
expensive.
need to, we need to
Mine
find
are in good condition.
The
Charlotte
post-
and I went for one.
the post,
You
the
did?
post committee should find grants for that, because I know that Canal's gotten a bunch of grants for different parks.
Yeah.
The rec center, our rec center in Hurricane has gotten different
And
grants for
and
parks.
when we replace the equipment, we need to replace the
And then some of them are grants that are not.
ground, so it's
They're-
safe.
Yeah,
Right now, it's not safe.
and
out there.
that would be included in
Yeah.
it, is cause like we have padding that.
You
we
got
do.
Yeah,
padding,
that is
that's
the-
the standard
the
now,
cat.
Yeah, but that's why I was, the question about that shade
Jean and I
structure
were
was-
looking into that too when we were looking, and it's not a cheap thing. for
It's
sure.
very
It is-
expensive.
It's not, but there's grants available for those, cause I know that other towns have gotten.
Well, the outdoor recreation grant program will
looking
do
into that as
parks,
well.
but we just got a grant for the BMX track. So we're not gonna be able to apply again for another
So
year.
that was kind of my argument,
Okay.
not.
Which we can do.
Question, I was
Yeah.
working it through.
We can do that next year.
Yeah,
Um,
The post.
And that
the
timing
post
is
should
gonna
do
be
that.
better.
The
Right.
timing will be
Yeah,
better.
right.
yeah.
Because this year, they restructured the outdoor recreation grant program, and this is the first year you could actually apply for a grant for a shade structure.
Oh, cool.
And before it was no,
Nice, okay.
so yes,
So are you saying GL 474560 is now zero? We're not doing 200,000?
no, we said we're gonna leave it until we go through this
The
capital improvement plan.
Which is next,
We
right?
don't know.
Yes, that's what we're getting to right now. Okay. So the capital improvements plan, 2025. Okay, as I said, so all these things that are on here, so if you guys open that up, the capital improvements plan,
Is that what we're going to?
that's what we're going to now.
And then-
Because all the stuff that's left in the budget is
Yes.
roads, water and parks.
You find that right to put that? Hmm.
But that's that's the plan.
And so she's-
That's been my plan this whole time. I told you. I know,
5-year plan.
but all these businesses open up. Maybe just fine. Okay, so. You can see here that, everything in year zero that I have as year zero are things that are currently in progress that we have put in this year's, the current budget. And even though we have some pricing there, for example, if you look at the bottom one, the back corner of Rio de Sign, where they're gonna fix that drainage, I believe that, that's not gonna cost us anything because our town public works is doing it all. Although we will have to buy some rocks from Alan Lee, but everything else is being done by the town staff. That crack seal, so we're still looking at year zero. The crack seal in Desert Gardens, has not yet been paid for because there's complaints about the crack seal. But by the time we pay that 30,000, then what I was telling you guys that we had in here for roads, for capital improvement roads, right now we're 33,000 less than what we budgeted. Soon as we pay this, we're only gonna be 3,000 less than what we budgeted, so. The pavement quality survey, that's, Rod said he's just about done with that. And then I don't know what we're gonna do about removing the concrete barrier and the pole at that entrance to Sierra Bella. We did get the pole moved, but we've been unable to remove the concrete barrier because, Jimmy Dredge has gone out and, surveyed his property there, and his survey marker is right where we wanted to move the concrete barrier. And he's like, nope, you're not moving the barrier there. So that may end up being a project that got half done. So, and that concrete barrier just looks stupid where it is when you're coming down Pocketville Road and you're approaching the stop sign at the highway. That barrier just looks so dumb. And, we were gonna do something there, but Jimmy's like, nope, you're not doing anything. to
The
it."
barrier was to protect it from the telephone poles, right?
Well, and the telephone pole's been moved.
Can the barrier be moved?
Well, that's what we were gonna do. We were gonna move the
He
barrier.
doesn't even want it gone.
I have no idea. You'd have to, he
Okay.
talks to Randy all the time, Randy Hiller.
But if the pole's on his side and our barrier's on our side, take the barrier out.
That's what
That's what she was saying, but we would have to ask, we'd have to talk to Rod and Randy and the Public Works guys, cause they talk to. Cause I keep saying, when are you gonna finish this? When are you gonna finish this? When is this gonna get done? And they're like, we can't do anything because, Jimmy Dredge has done it, and I'm just like, I haven't even gone over and looked at it.
So
I'm
there's
so
a reason
disgusted.
that pole is blocking that thing from being picked up by a backhoe.
I do not know. What you're asking, I
I'm
have never asked.
clarifying, so, cause I don't, it doesn't make sense to me, cause I'm like, Valerie, just
Why
take
can't
it
we
out.
just move
Yeah.
it? Yes. Well, I
It's
think part
the
of,
barrier.
I thought,
Right,
I
that's
think it
right.
wasn't, I don't think it was just protecting
Is
the
it because of the
pool.
flood, when we had
No.
that flood mitigation?
No. No, this was done before that. I think the whole purpose of that barrier is when you, or if you're coming down Pocketville Road, then all of a sudden, right there from Sierra Bella, there's like a lane, if you were to turn and wanna, that, I think that's really supposed to be a merge lane to get into Pocketville Road from Sierra Bella. But I can see how a car could move over and then it runs, then there's no concrete. And so the barrier to me was to force people into,
I think you're right.
if they got off,
That
and
makes
so it
sense.
looks stupid. If we,
That makes sense.
and I think it's a danger if we move the concrete barrier.
But it's also a danger because it's there. and
It's
somebody
because
runs
it's
it.
there. So I don't know what to do about the concrete barrier.
I would move it.
I would remove it.
I would move it someplace else, yeah. Why do we
Take it
need
to the
it?
town yard.
Yeah,
Okay,
use it for something else that we
Something
need
else,
in the
yeah,
It
that's-
future.
doesn't need to be there. Take it
okay,
out.
all right,
That's what I say.
But it's cheap.
I will
That's
follow up.
affordable, very cheap.
okay.
And that, and
We
those
could do
things,
that with town staff.
Do that with.
That's what-
and town staff, I'm sure could find good uses for that.
Yeah.
There's places
At
to
some point.
block off.
So we've paid most of that 16,000, we've paid most of that. The pavement quality survey is only gonna be 2,000, the crack seal 30, this Rio de Sion really is going to be paid by town staff. So we're gonna be right at, by the time we do pay these two things, the 2,000 and the 30,000, we're gonna be right at what we budgeted for road projects. Okay, so now, moving on down to what is now marked as year one. Everything highlighted in yellow is stuff that Rod gave to me yesterday that he said, let's put this in for capital improvements.
And the white is from the previous.
And the white was previously, some, in fact, like, if you look at line 11 where it says Rodinos and Pope House, the water, the culvert, that was in year one before, and I moved it down
Okay.
because it didn't get done. The stormwater drainage master plan was in our previous budget the first year, but it didn't get done and they've just now got started on it, so that's here.
And
So
then,
I moved it down.
and then stuff that was in our previous capital improvement plan is year two is now year one.
Yes, yes, I moved things from year two to
Okay.
year one and things in year one that did not get done, I moved down
Right.
to year one.
And
everything-
yeah, and I see the post plan on this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got roads, water, parks, and I put stormwater, not as water, but stormwater. I figured it was different. Can you not find it?
No, I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, admin was the impact fee study. So we've got roads, water, parks, stormwater, admin. So as you can see, here we are with the road that Misty was talking about, the very first one on line 8 is 100 west. The entire road needs to be chip sealed and capped. And we had traffic calming devices that you had put on the capital improvements plan. We had that in year two. But we just said it could be done at the same time as the road is chip sealed and capped. They just put the calming devices in at the same time. So we combined two different things into one. That's on line 8.
Okay, you probably, oh, I see, calming devices needed from highway, yeah.
Yeah, you had put that
Yeah.
in the capital improvements plan last year and we just said, we'll just combine the two together.
Yeah,
Okay, so Misty, line 8.
I saw it.
Okay, there's your
Well, and
thing.
that's only 100 west, though. I'm talking about like. Selfishly, I could say I only care about that over that, but that's not.
but
I've been driving around the old part of town, and that's not just here, there's up on this side by the cemetery, there's a few
Oh,
roads that
okay,
are,
yeah,
and then I'm like, I
okay.
know.
So you
These
see
things are
line 9,
happening in other places.
so what's on line 9?
Yeah,
Cemetery Road and
and there's other
175
places
North.
too, there's not just those two, but that's why I was asking,
Well, we can't do, it's getting there.
right? That's why I asked in the first
Okay.
place, I was,
Well,
just wanted to make sure you knew I wasn't being
Okay.
selfish. I just
And the
wanted-
traffic
I wanted
calming,
it everywhere.
What?
Yeah, traffic calming devices, I don't remember whether it was originally, it wasn't what, just for 100 West. was
Yes, it was.
But just
It
for.
was just for 100 West,
Okay.
right next to the park.
Oh, you know what would really help on 100, and my car told me this, we need, a couple of speed limit signs. Because there's not from the road till you get almost to my house.
People
So we
fly down
really
that road.
could Use a couple just going up, even on this
Right.
side of town, on this road as well.
Waiver of
And
fees,
they're cheap,
that's
they're not, I mean,
the
they're
Water
not cheap, but
Conservancy District where
it would
they
solve a lot
collected a
of
bunch
our
of fees
speeding
that we were
problems
supposed to
before
pay them when we joined the Water Conservancy
Yeah, they're
District.
pretty lovely.
And they, said,
The first
they would,
this way.
we didn't have to
Right.
pay those
Well, we
fees.
should put a light on.
It's in our
Like,
budget,
concern with
well, it's not in our
But
budget, it's
honestly,
in our
when
financial
I come
statement.
down this road, my car, cause you know, other
No.
cars, they recognize
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah.
There's, it said 45 until I got past the park, so if nobody, if they're
No,
like, wait.
this
how?
is,
They don't
this is what
understand
they
the
want to do, they want to
speed
take out the cross
limit.
connection,
No,
go
it's
for
fine.
lines, install an
Residential.
inline meter.
Yeah.
This is,
But because that's what was on the highway.
yes, I know,
Wow.
but this,
So my
this,
car doesn't
this
recognize
6,000, oh no, this is supposed to be
That's all
10,000.
out there. And so we honestly
supposed to
could
be
use
10,000.
two more up there, because there's one by my
I
house,
agree.
and then two more up there, because there's
Okay.
one
I
down here.
sure
Yeah.
wasn't like.
That's
No,
an easy fix.
Yeah.
no, it's not for him.
That would be a traffic calming
No, this is,
device.
this is, no,
On
this
100 that
is,
You guys are talking about?
how are we
But
paying
since
for this
a
work?
speed sign up
The
here,
town is gonna, where's the
speed
money
limit sign
coming
on
from?
these roads
It's,
and
it's a PTIF
And they
account.
won't
Oh,
cost
okay.
a whole lot.
Yeah, you could do a number of different stuff. If speed's an issue.
Those two would be nice. Speed is a big issue.
If
on
it's
those
speed,
two roads.
what we can also do, I don't know.
We need like 5 more.
Well, what I'm
speed
saying is that
signs.
there's not a clear, so if you don't know what the speed limit signs in a residential area in America are, let's just say, and you've got, then you
You're
don't.
supposed to answer that question when you get your driver's license test.
But not if you're from a foreign
Yeah, if you're
country.
from a foreign country, they don't know.
Okay,
Cause so, but if you go down this road, there's one speed limit sign. My house is the last house on that, that's where it is.
oh,
So I'm saying we need two up, two on this
so
side
you're
and
saying,
two on this side.
okay, I thought you meant the thingies that will tell
It's
you how
not so much
fast
the
you're
foreign
going.
countries than it is the, local on the street.
Well, and.
I
not to
thought you were-
incriminate myself.
I thought you were
But-
talking about the sign that tells you how fast
No,
you're
no, no,
going.
no, I'm talking about actual speed limit signs. That's how my car told me, is because it said 45 till I got past the park.
Got it.
And
Okay.
then it went blank.
Okay.
And then you go down by my house and it goes 25, and I'm like, well, now I know what the speed limit is.
Okay.
But I know what it is, but other people, it's
Okay,
just a calming device that costs nothing really.
One common device, one.
It's one method that doesn't cost a lot. And it came up
okay.
because you put that,
Stop
traffic calming
signs,
devices.
I mean,
Speed
traffic
signs.
speed run,
Speed limit
speed
signs.
limit signs along this road.
and it could be done on this one too, just as a.
So are we gonna also look at this and decide which ones can be moved to another year?
Yes, yes, that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
Okay, so we looked at line 8, then there's, and you see that Rod estimates $200,000 just to do 100 West.
And this Cemetery Road, I don't know about the speed limit signs on that one. Were we even considering traffic measures, or is that one fine?
I've never had any complaints about speeding over there.
Okay, good.
so that comes to the first question. Do we wanna do $500,000 worth of chip sealing this year, or spread it out to 200 this year and 300 next year?
Well, here's, if you go on down to line 23,
22, you mean?
23,
Of the total capital projects for 1 year?
that's on line 22.
23,
Need to chip seal the roads in the town section by section over a 5-year period.
5-year period.
$400,000.
Pretty much all roads in town are deteriorating and need chip sealing, and he said 400,000 per year for
So-
5 years.
Okay,
So that's
so
me $1 million.
do we need? So do we need, so the question is do we need? Are these such critical that any of them can be delayed or not?
Well, 100 West is pretty darn bad.
100 West is bad.
And we've had people come in on, so up there, it's where we had Cemetery Road and 175 North. We did have
Those
a
are bad there,
representative from 175 North. That's a gravel road. They want it they want it paved. And they had somebody come in from representing all of the people over there and said, we want it done.
Okay,
And so we could do 175 North and not Cemetery
So
Road, put
we're at
Cemetery Road
100
off another day,
We're
another year.
150,000 over the 400,000 that's down here of the chip sealing per year. This would
Yes.
just be a big year,
Yes,
so it could be less on the other years, because we're taking away this, right?
yes. And then he
Okay.
has, and then line 10, he wants to chip seal each of the 2 loops in Desert Gardens and do one year and one the next year. And he has, $50,000. He thinks it'll take
Okay.
about $50,000 per loop.
Okay, so we're at 550,000.
So by the time you do that, but yeah, and so then here we have the culvert next on line 11. We're now at water projects. That's the one by the culvert by Rodinos and Pope that still has not been addressed. And it was on here from last year.
So the question is, do we keep it this year or do we move it?
Correct. And then the stormwater drainage master plan, that's in progress.
That's
Yay.
in progress and half of it CIB funds.
Yes, and half is us for our general fund. Don't know what to do about this line 13.
We don't only have cost estimates.
I don't have cost estimates on that.
So let's move it to year 2 and get cost estimates.
Is it, do we know how badly it's eroding, like, is it,
No,
like, it's not
but-
an emergency status yet?
But
it's
FEMA
still-
told us, 2.5 years ago that this needed to be done.
And at this point,
And I
it's
would
not
assume
desperation, now it's just like you could put it off 1 year?
probably. So I will change this to a 2,
Is that,
year
could
2.
It
Could
doesn't
that be
change
like
any of our
putting a
budget
new
funds,
bridge
but
in or fixing the bridge could cost like $1 million, right?
Oh,
Just to
yeah.
repair it.
Yes, to repair the bridge could cost
Oh,
$1 million, yes.
okay.
Okay, let me move this down to 2.
the bigger question is, how much do you want to spend on capital improvements this year?
Correct, that is true. That's why I went ahead and I put everything in that Rod wanted. And they really want to get this thing on line 14 for Don Butler property. They really
I'd like to see that.
want to do that this
I'd like
year.
to see both of those lines done.
What?
I'd like to see both of those lines done, 14 and 15.
14 and 15,
I
yes.
would almost be so bold as to say to move it ahead of
Oh,
fixing
Don,
my street.
I know, Don, by the water tank up there, Don,
Mhm.
yeah, that's gotta go.
They,
That's gotta go.
That's gotta happen.
so we were talking about where are we gonna put.
Somebody's gonna get killed.
So we were talking about, and then 15 is, there's 3 dead end lines. One is at the end of 165 North, which is on the way to Stacy Croft's house. There's another one that is down by the baker's house. And then there's one up there by Don Butler, and they want to get them all connected.
Yeah,
And that's gonna take $150,000.
okay.
And I asked if we do that, because then they can bring a line over from the water tank, which makes it easier to get the water over there instead of it going the circuitous route to get over to those homes.
It would help with pressure.
Yes, and so it would just go straight from the water tank over there. Now, I asked if we do this, how does this open up that mesa between the edge of the mesa and the water tank for development? Because right now there's no water there. And we've had people come in and want to put in 3-story condos up there. And I don't want to look at that. And so.
We're 3 stories are not allowed.
Well,
Right.
but still,
But even still, I don't.
That's
think
what they want
anybody
to
wants
do.
Put it
look
in
at that.
there.
nobody wants to look at that, but I
Once you
was
put
asking,
water in there, they will come.
yes, and that's why I was like, do
That's
we?
what you water it.
And that's why I was like, do we do that? Do we? I'm hesitant
Does
on
the
that one.
east water tank affect this?
So could we fix the line 14? Can we move that like as priority to the top? And that would solve the, issue that Paul was also addressing about that somebody's gonna get killed. Cause it comes out. Right?
But, I mean, you can keep it there. It's all gonna be done
Yeah, but I
next
think
year.
it should be like a,
I don't think these are in
if we're
order.
ordering them in priority order, I would say that one's at the top.
It's not in priority
the other
order.
two.
Yeah, I have not been putting them in priority order, but
It's all
we've got,
done this year.
That later, right?
well,
Okay.
we've got,
So just
I'm,
this year or not is what I
that
want.
second column that's got nothing in it, that's priority. That's where we put,
We
I
have
just
done-
made it
Okay.
number one.
I just wanted, I was just, we're
So-
just putting yes this year, no this year.
Yeah, and 14 and 15, I agree with. One question on going back to 10, should that be impact fees?
Is it new though?
It's
Well-
not new, it's repair. I assume that's why, but I'm trying to decide why we chip seal on the other two and not that one, and those the impact
And
fees.
well, we were talking about, I don't know why I put impact fees on those. But, I figured we could look at our roads, what's in our roads impact fee account and see
Can
what
we
money
just
we have.
impact fees for repairs or? are we supposed
That's
to
what
use
we're
those
talking
for
I don't think you
new-
can. You
I
can.
think they're those for new projects.
You can't, yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
use-
but it's also if stuff has been affected by development. It's not just new stuff. If we only
So-
use impact fees for new stuff, we're gonna have to refund
Right.
all our impact
So
fees.
so is the one on
Or
one
just spend
hundred
money
and
and put in a
Cemetery
roundabout.
Road? Are those because, there's more traffic?
Say what?
There's more traffic on those
Yes.
roads now
Yes.
because of development?
Yes.
So it can categorize.
Yes, and
So
that's,
I
that's what,
think,
that's
this
what
question is
Rod
valid.
argues.
I think his question is valid of the, why are we not putting number 10 as an impact fee?
I'll put it in.
The reason I ask is because there's also there's more homes out there than there used to be.
That is true.
And there's a little bit more traffic flow, so I feel like that could be an impact.
Okay. Well, I put impact
We
fees there
changed it
now.
to impact, because had a valid one.
Okay, so John Butler, we put that thing about, fixing the cross connection and putting in this inline meter and getting rural water to come scope the lines, because they suspect that there's another cross connection up there. I put that as top priority. I put that as priority number one. The next thing, we get to line 16, and if you look on the, oh. Of course, I see this now.
I can't remember picture 700 west for some reason in my brain.
It's,
There was a text from Heath asking if we wanted him to attend tonight's work meeting. I'm like,
No.
well, he wrote it at 5. He
Yeah,
wanted to
like
talk to
it's
us
right
about
across
something,
from-
but we can do a closed meeting.
And
Tuesday
so
night.
it says, where does it come up to the?
It has to
river?
be
Is it
settled.
like?
Right, yeah,
And
Tuesday
it
night.
talks about okay, no, not the river. The one to connect that water line behind it,
right,
right? They're just putting tubers because that's where their business is.
right,
Okay, so I wanted to
That makes
show
sense.
you
First
guys.
I was, what?
yeah.
And it kind of, it's been a long month.
Not even over.
Let me tell you, I know.
Okay.
I have
So-
6 more days of school.
Line number 16.
Teresa's laughing too. Okay, right there.
She took this week off.
I know, because we texted her. It was probably confused.
Okay, so here's what this is. Line 16, where he says, Public Works in the town engineer would like to connect the water line that runs behind the tubers up to the water line along Highway 9. So here's the GIS mapping for the water lines. And so I know it's just my tiny little phone, but here is Buffalo Trails. And so there's a water line that comes this way and then across this way. And
Which ways?
right here, here's Buffalo Trails, here's 700 West.
Okay.
There's a water line that goes right here and then right across the parking lot in front of in front of Buffalo Trails. And then behind this thing that the tubers just bought. And what they want is to run a line from here up to the highway. And because it's just weird.
Who's they?
Town engineer and public
Town
works.
engineer,
Because
I
it's
say
going
town
an extra-
engineer and public works wants to do this.
Cause it's
That's
going an
what it
extra
says on my
distance
chart.
to get there when it doesn't need to. Is that what they're saying?
Correct, and
It's
then
got that extra
also,
distance.
the
Okay.
other thing is, this is old,
Yeah,
and there's an irrigation line right below or right above the water line,
like
Here,
it sits
in
like this, or
Yes.
it's like this.
Yep. like that. Yes. And so they're just like, oh my God. So, anyway, that's what line 16 is.
That's another one of those somebody to get hurt if the water crossing contaminated.
Yes, the cross contamination, exactly. That was line 16, then we get to parks, there's the shade structure in the post plan.
I think we can move the shade structure to next year,
Okay,
because then I'll give time to see what the post plan says.
okay. And then stormwater. These two projects. He wants to redo the storm drain along the east side of Pocketville Road from Bob Clark's house down to the wash that's over there off of 165, you know, where that goes down underneath the fourplex and comes out and drops into that wash that's, the bakers are here. And you've got these two roads and there's the wash in between. And he wants to redo the whole storm drain. Now, part of me is like, well, we can wait, we're about to get a stormwater study. We'll just see what the stormwater study says.
Right.
And the next one about the drain that's at the top of Sierra Bella that needs to be cleaned out. He's worried that we'll have some flash flood and the whole place will be washed out. And, both of these, I'm tending to say we could put to a different year.
Put to
They
next
could
year.
possibly, okay, I'll put both to two.
Because you make a good point about, we're about ready to have the stormwater study, let's see what that says too. Because they could come out with a different recommendation, and we wanna be consistent with our.
Okay, so I've got 4 things here in year 1 that I've just changed to year 2. They're not showing up on yours because
No.
I pulled it off of my hard drive,
Right.
and then I'll,
Yeah.
yeah.
The shade structure and,
There's 2 stormwaters, the shade structure and the bridge in Camino del Rio.
right,
Those all got moved to year 2.
That bridge when we don't have so many projects going at the same time, if it's.
So the post plan's gonna get done. That is going to get done this next year. The question is, what road projects and what water projects? Are we going to, what would be the priority?
Line 16 goes to 1.
Line
Line 16, line 14.
14, yes, I've got
Number
one, I
one.
put priority 1 for that. What will be priority 2? 100 West.
Is there anything else that's like this Rodin, the one by the Rodinas and the Poe House where it says that it shows the signs of erosion? Is that,
so when 14
again,
and
how
15.
desperate is that one?
I don't know.
I'd
I
like to
really
know.
don't know how desperate that one is.
And it's actually not that much money in the big.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is
Yeah.
if we should just move that up, if it's,
And even though we put $6,000, we also have a note here that says we can probably do this in-house, which will
Right.
cost us nothing.
so let's move that one up with the 14. 10 and,
Okay, so 10 and 14.
11 and 14. go
11
to
and
top.
14 can be one. Okay,
I'm just looking at the ones that show that it could be potentially dangerous first, right? Wouldn't that be the right priority to go? It could be potentially dangerous, and then go with what could be potentially costly. to that. Does Rod have a theory of what he feels like are the most important?
I feel from, and I don't have my notes from my meeting with him yesterday, but I got the impression he really, really, really wanted to do 100 West.
I feel like that one's kind of, that one and the cemetery one, because it's the old part of town. I feel like because they've been old part of town and we don't like it old timey, they've been neglected a little bit. So I do feel like they need to go to the top. But I'll let you guys decide on that, because I'm on bikes. I would love not to have potholes that I can plant a garden. I'd love not to
Yeah,
knock
I
my
do.
alignment off.
Yes,
See,
that's all.
the problem is, you know, we wanted to do,
Didn't they just repair all those potholes on the?
They did, but they just come right back.
they just
within
come
like
back
6
up.
months.
They
don't stay.
they don't stay.
Cause every new road, or public works person we've gotten, just cause I live there.
Goes over there.
They
just-
go, that's the
Just
first
keep
thing they do
popping up.
every
Go-
time,
yeah.
they go over there and repair it, and then it just chips right
Right
back.
back.
I don't know if we need to set the priorities, because if you say they're gonna be all done next year, then you
Well-
just,
Where they're not all gonna be done next year because,
then we shouldn't put them in next year.
well, I agree,
Yeah,
it's.
I will tell you, we did get a complaint about a kid that when it was dark, riding his bike, scooter, fell in a pothole and hurt himself pretty bad.
And when the cars come down those hills, honestly, it's down they call it Big Bend, that's what the kids call it. They go down the Big Bend and then they're coming up it. This morning it happened, or this afternoon it happened to me. The car had to move over here because we're used to moving
Right,
because of the
right.
potholes. And then by the time I get to the bottom of the hill, they have to move over, but there's some of those places in front of,
so,
like the Jimmy's property and the others, that the road is just broken down and nobody wants to drive in it because it messes your alignment up.
so if we're putting them year one, we're saying that y'all should get done this year. So
Well,
we don't need to
first,
prioritize.
well,
You just say, get it done, we'll put them in the order that we've got the engineer, can work them in his schedule, public work.
because I had planned to do this year Water Street and Mill Street because they were gonna do the sewer line. So we might as well put a new water line and repave the road at the same time. And, I was planning to do that, but I have not heard anything in probably 2 or 3 months now from what's going on with the sewer project.
This year's budget or
I was gonna do this year's budget because they wanted to get started on it.
because they should just include 100 in that if they're already,
I'm sorry?
if you're already doing that, you should put just the 100 with it. It's right.
Well, we wanted to. I asked them about adding sections of here with the sewer line, just because. Why
It's
not?
right there, right.
That according to them, when they presented the project the way it is with government. They presented the project, here's the design, and they gave it to the state approved it. If they're gonna add a new road, they have to redo the design, go back to the state, get reapproval.
I just mean chip sealing because you're already
Okay.
planning on doing 200 and.
Well,
100.
my point was, if there's gonna be a sewer line coming down 100 west,
Do it at the same.
do it at
time.
the same
Right.
time.
I have to step out for 1 second.
Okay, and that's when they said, oh, we have to go back to the state, do a redesign, get reapproval from the Division of Water Quality. I was like, never mind. Just never mind. That'll put the project back a year, just to add 100 west.
So do we know what the holdup is on that? Is
The last I knew, it was design. They were planning to get started on doing the sewer line on Mill Street and Water Street, probably in August.
are they still incorporating, I think it's called a transfer station or something like that at White Bison in that?
Pump house,
Because that
pump
might be
station.
what's holding them up, because White Bison's having a very difficult time with that.
I know they are.
sewer.
I know they,
Big time,
they're,
big time.
even though they got approval from the state. I just,
We watch it.
I know you do. I don't know what's gonna happen.
They're trying to put it in water, basically, correct, yeah. Okay, moving on.
Okay, so. Are we gonna put Cemetery Road and 175 North in this year, or are we gonna put it in next year? Because we don't have the money for some of this stuff, we just don't.
That's why you're prioritizing, right?
Well,
Yes.
no,
That was why I was prioritizing, we don't have the
then you
money.
move it to the second year.
Well, what gets moved?
That's what we need to decide then. Because if you put it in year one, then they should all be done in this year one, is what we're saying.
How much
Yes.
do we have?
Oh,
total, just give us a total of what we can afford to do.
oh, I don't know.
In
I have to
this.
go back. Well, it all depends. How much is gonna come out of impact fees and how much money do we have in impact fees? How much is gonna come out of the general fund and what do we have in the general fund? So
Because we can't
I
prioritize,
don't know.
Paul's right, we can't really prioritize until we know those
okay.
amounts.
So we have 400,000 in roads.
Impact fees for roads and,
So that.
But we
have
don't
one,
know
two,
if that money
three.
can go for input.
correct. We don't really know what we
I
can
think
spend
we're
those
gonna have
impact
to
fees
have
on.
another meeting to prioritize.
From the capital improvements group.
Or no, the town, I mean, you could do it at the town council.
Well, this is
meeting,
why
but-
I said, we're gonna do this public hearing on Tuesday. And we'll do another public hearing at the June meeting, but in between those two, I think we're gonna have to have a special meeting that is purely on the budget, just like this.
And then and then once we know which are gonna be then capital improvements, and we can run that plan in June. But we need to know how much money is gonna be available.
Right, and then the public hearing in June will be the both capital improvements and the budget, okay? But we are gonna have to have, I think, a special meeting in June.
That's
After
a
you
work
get
meeting
back
for the
from
Yeah,
budget.
and I got 2 extra days here and,
In when?
well, I'm coming back.
Yeah, I thought you were coming back June 2nd.
I'm coming back June 2nd, and then I'm not leaving till that Friday.
Oh,
So
so
I'm
you're
gonna
only
be here
gonna,
Wednesday and Thursday.
so you're gonna be here 2 days? Yikes, okay.
I'm gonna be gone at the beginning of June as well, let me get the date, let me look at the calendar.
June 2nd is a Monday.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be
when I come
gone,
back.
I'm gonna be gone, the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Well, I think June 3rd sounds like a great idea.
June 3rd is the day.
Well, and we could do it during the day.
Yes,
I don't
because
work.
you're out of school and we
Once
don't have to do it in
starts,
the
I'm
evening.
not working, so it's,
I
we could
work
do
on,
that.
You work on Tuesdays?
you know what, I'll switch her to Wednesday. It's
Okay.
fine.
Are
So
you sure?
June 3rd, we'll do our budget meeting June
The
3rd.
earlier the better.
So what time?
Well,
Um,
I have a mayor's association meeting at 11.
I don't mean 6 AM, but I'm just saying,
Can we say 1 o'clock?
we don't want our clerk to have to get up before, come here before she has to.
Oh, okay. So if we did 1 o'clock, that would work.
June 3rd, I'm already here.
No,
Yes,
I'm
she's-
saying not before 9 AM.
She means you don't have to get
You don't
here
have
at
to
8
come
o'clock
on.
in the morning. That's what she's
What I'm
saying.
saying.
Yeah,
Which
don't
is
make me
good,
come
'cause I don't know what time.
No,
I'm going in the night before.
This is not gonna make anybody happy, because I'll be.
So 1 o'clock on the
1
3rd?
o'clock, let's do 1 o'clock on the 3rd.
Now, okay, there, if you guys have to move it, if we did it during the day and I knew well enough in advance, I'm gonna be at girls' camp up on Collab, but I
On what
have to
day?
know before I go, if we decided to do it any day after the 3rd.
No, they're
During
doing
that
it
week.
No, we're doing
I
it
could
June
drive
3rd.
home, do it, and go back.
No,
June
we're doing
3rd,
June
we're good.
3rd. We're
Okay,
good.
as long as you're good, Scott.
Yeah.
June 3rd,
If
1
anything
o'clock,
3rd,
changes,
1 o'clock.
that's-
so
We're not changing it.
official.
It's on my calendar now.
It's on her calendar.
Oh, that's the wrong. Mhm.
There's a lot to do,
I
boy.
don't really understand. I gotta tell you, people send out these, calendar invites. And I get 2 calendar invites for every single thing, and so it ends up on my calendar twice.
They must really want you there.
And there's this one thing that has showed up on my calendar, Police Officers Day or some crap like that. 77 times. It is, I know. Yes, I have sat here and I can't just highlight them all and delete. I have to go one at a time. I sat there one day for an hour on my computer, delete. I'm like, how did this happen? 77 times. All on the same day.
This police week.
Okay, so I think we're done for the day. I'll rearrange this this 5-year capital improvements plan and reload it, put it back up. For Tuesday's meeting, not that it's really we're gonna put anything in the budget for it. It seems to me we'll be able to put everything in the budget except what we're doing for capital improvements, and we'll do that at the meeting on June 3rd. Is that what we're thinking?
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay,
That
And
way
then,
we can finish.
and then when we have the meeting, not this Tuesday, but the one on June 3rd, be nice to know how much money we have in each of the capital improvement funds and how much needs to be spent by when.
yes, yes, and, we've got what's her name? Hinton Burdick has a report that they do.
Yeah, good, because I'm a visual person and want to be able
Yeah.
to see.
It would make it a lot easier.
Yeah,
to go, oh,
their
this is
thing
first, this
shows
is next.
when the money has to be spent,
Yeah,
okay. So I need to get
because that may help with our
impact
priorities too.
report.
Exactly.
Impact report from Hinton Burdick.
Long day, long meeting, but good meeting. Thank you,
It
Jean.
was productive.
You're welcome. Okay,
And
I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Okay, all right. Crystal can hang that up.